Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the final Senate meeting of the semester. Would anybody like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Introductions. The President, Dr. Mark Rocha. Vice President, Dr. Bell. Vice President Miller, I thought I saw earlier. Ophelia Orellano. Matt Jordan. Let's see, anybody else? Roger Marheim, the head of the FA, is here. Anybody else who I missed? Don't think so. Okay. So the first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from April 1st. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Thank you, Mark. Any second? Thank you, Pat. Any second for the minutes? Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, I wanted to make a motion to amend the amendment.
Sure, we'll do that after we get the minutes on the floor. Okay. Who's second? Okay, Paul? Okay, Pat, please go ahead. Any amendment?
I would like to amend the minutes. Now, on my handout, it's on page 5 of this meeting handout. And this is under the public comment that was reopened. And it says here, Dustin Handy sought legal advice on this item. And is seeking a second opinion from the statewide academic senate president, Michelle Pilati, for the following reasons. And I would like to amend that to say that Dustin Handy sought legal advice on this item from General Counsel Gail Cooper.
Okay. Okay, so noted. Okay. Yes.
I thought you had specified that you didn't actually specifically seek legal counsel, but you received legal counsel.
I have received legal counsel.
But wasn't that after you notified them that this was going to be on the agenda?
They were notified and then she called me.
Okay.
That was the order.
So you notified them it was going to be on the agenda, and then they contacted you with their
That is
legal
correct.
advice?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's the correct order.
So I think saying that you saw, the president saw legal advice is incorrect.
Well, then we need to have in the minutes that they notified them then.
So the president sought legal advice from General Counsel Gail Cooper.
That's fine. I don't know if you are even concerned about the word sought.
Yeah.
Okay.
It implies that you acted.
It was received.
You received legal advice.
Okay, well, is it in the minutes that they informed the
No,
administration?
It is not in the minutes.
Okay,
It
so
says
then-
in the minutes that sought legal advice on this item.
Okay, but is it anywhere in the minutes that the executive committee informed the administration that that item was going to be on the agenda? Because that needs to be in there.
Okay, well then,
I'm trying to understand.
so how would that be?
So, will you clarify
Well-
your motion, Pat? I'm sorry.
I would
got
like to
confused.
amend the minutes to read that Dustin Handy informed the executive committee that this item would be on the agenda, and then received legal advice.
That's
from
fine.
General Counsel.
I think that's correct.
Is that
That's how I would characterize what happened. Okay. So noted. Any other changes to the minutes? Yes, Margaret.
Section 6, number 5, when it was talking about the additional flex days, and where it says the vote, it says 3 abstentions, but it has Melissa Michelson twice. It was me. Thank you.
So noted?
There should be 3 different names.
That was page 6. Okay. Any other changes or amendments to the minutes? Okay. With those amendments or changes, all in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, by her request, I'm going to let Nancy do the election results before we get to public comment. So please, go ahead.
Good afternoon. On behalf of the Academic Senate Nominations and Elections Committee, we'd like to thank all the candidates who put their names forward to run in this election. Thank you for their time and effort. We also thank all of the voters. It was a heavy voter turnout this year. And we'd like to thank Judy Benson, who was with us every step of the way. Thank you for all your help. With that said, the election results are as follows. President Eduardo A. Cairo. Vice President Early Douglas. Secretary Pat Rose. Treasurer Dan Haley. Thank you.
Yes, Pat?
Mr. President, before we get to public comments, I would like to make a motion to make 2 changes to the agenda. The agenda items that are listed under number 5.
Number 5. Okay, what is your request?
Okay, I have 2 motions. I'd like to move up the calendar 2013-2014 item to right after public comment. And then I would like to deal with old business next in the order of its discussion at the last Senate meeting. Do you want me to give you my reasons now, or do we want to discuss that and then I give you my reasons?
One motion at a time.
So we'll take each motion one at a time.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to move the calendar committee up to the item after public comment, simply because it is an emergency item, and I think that it needs to be
Who's the
dealt with.
second? Okay, Matt. Okay, we need to discuss, and there's actually no discussion of that motion. All in favor of doing the calendar discussion before we do the other item signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so done.
And the second motion is that I would like to move that the vote of no confidence that was discussed in the last Senate meeting, and because of its seriousness of the issue in the vote, and the vote that we discuss it while all the senators are still present tonight and can cast their vote.
Okay. Second? Okay. All in favor of, what was the motion again? I'm quite understanding.
That we change the order of the agenda.
So you want to do calendar, then no confidence, and then the others? Is that what you're asking
That's
for?
correct.
Okay. Yes.
Can I ask a friendly amendment, Pat? Would you mind if we had, Joe Busco has been trying to quickly announce what's been going on. Would you mind if she made her announcement before that discussion? Because I know that she also has had this on the agenda for the last 3 times and hasn't had a chance to discuss it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So are you asking to do that first?
Mm-hmm.
So that's, she's asking to, we're asking to do that first. Is that okay? As a friendly amendment? Okay. So that the motion's basically to go in the order of Joe will go first, then the calendar, then the no confidence, and then going forward from there. That's the motion. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so done. All right. Okay, so let's get to public comment. The first is our president, so please.
Thank you, Justin. I'll come over here and stand near the door. And I'll be very brief. I'll just kind of read from a letter to you, Justin, members of the Academic Senate. First of all, I should say I am, after my comment, going to depart, have Dodger Stadium tonight, Jackie Robinson today at Major League Baseball, so I'm going over there to Dodger Stadium with a group. There is one extra Dodger ticket that is in Mary Dodger's office, so if you know of anybody who wants to go to the game, it's there. The other thing I just want to say, I sent a notice to the entire staff about this tragic event in Boston at the Boston Marathon. So if any of you know anyone in our extended PCC community who is from Boston or involved in that event, or anybody at all who's in any distress, if you would please let me know so that we can see that we can provide the support. As to my letter, dear President Hamby and members of the Academic Senate, I come today on your last meeting of this academic year to do something I do every year. First, to sincerely thank you, President Hamby, and this year's Senate officers, as well as all our faculty senators, for your service to the Senate and to the college this year. I also came to offer my personal and hearty congratulations to President-elect Eduardo Cairo and Professors Early Douglas, Pat Rose, and Dan Haley up there on their election for the year 2013-14. I look forward to working with you closely in the coming year. We will soon celebrate this college's, great college's 89th annual commencement. This ancient and annual ritual reminds us that we are all part of the same mission to serve our students. I thank you for your teaching excellence and patient support of your students that has helped to realize the dreams of the nearly 2,000 graduating students of the PCC class of 2013. Sincerely yours, Mark. So with that, that was my comment. I appreciate the minute or two that took. So
Okay.
have a good meeting.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks, guys.
Next is Vice President Miller.
Thank you, President Hanvey. I've got a statement from the Board of Trustees that I have been asked to read, and I'm going to send copies around for everybody to have, both at the table and also in the audience. So, I will read. To the Academic Senate, I might add while it's going around real quick that unfortunately Board President Martin and Board Vice President Fellow could not be here today, or else they would have been here to present this information themselves. So it's addressed to the Academic Senate, Pasadena City College, Pasadena, California. Dear President Hanvey and members of the Academic Senate, first, the Board of Trustees sincerely thanks President Hanvey and district Senate officers for your service to the Senate and to the college. The Board also congratulates President-elect Eduardo Cairo and the newly elected officers, Professors Early Douglas, Pat Rose, and Dan Haley, for their election for 2013-2014. The Superintendent President and the Board look forward to working with you closely in the coming year. In reviewing your agenda, the Board observes that the Senate will today conduct a second reading of a no-confidence motion proposed by Senator Melissa Michelson. Since the members of the Board may not be able to attend today's meeting at 3 p.m., we respectfully request that this letter be read to the Senate and inserted into the record as public comment on this agenda item. We wish to offer 3 points for your consideration. 1, the Board, not the Superintendent President, made the decisions that are being called into question. On November 7th, 2012, the Board publicly adopted 11 goals for the college and then charged the Superintendent President with implementing them. The Superintendent President has carried out this Board's policy, and criticism directed at him is criticism that is rightly shared by every member of this Board. We will continue to administer with our full confidence, and by extension, that of the voting public. So, in complete fairness and accuracy, any resolution of no confidence should include the Board of Trustees. 2, we see no need to rush to decide today. The Board fully acknowledges and respects those who disagree with its decisions, but these decisions are now before PERB this summer in formal fact-finding and a hearing before an administrative law judge. We would hope that the Senate would await the formal legal rulings by PERB before making its final determination. 3, we applaud the Senate for being on the side of due process and fairness by scheduling today's agenda item only as a second hearing. The Board therefore hopes that final action on the motion will be deferred until the Board and the Superintendent President have been given the opportunity to consult and confer on the issues at hand with the Senate officers and leadership. Whatever the Senate decides, tomorrow the Superintendent President will continue our most important work to bring all faculty together to develop a shared vision for moving PCC forward. It is time for all of us to create a spirit to talk with each other rather than at each other. Finally, today, April 15, is Jackie Robinson Day throughout Major League Baseball. Today, the entire world will honor our alumnus, Jackie Robinson, for his courage and commitment to the cause of social justice and opportunity for all. May all of us at PCC mark this day, not in further discord, but in unity as we join hands in Mr. Robinson's cause. Sincerely yours, John Martin, for the PACCD Board of Trustees, John H. Martin, President. Thank you.
Okay, next, Dr. Bell.
Thank you, President Hammond. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be brief. I just want to, mine is more an information piece and way of an update. I wanted to get to this body an updated discussion on the planned reorganization in academic affairs to move from our current academic divisions to a schools model. And I know that's been out there for discussion, and we haven't had a close, comprehensive discussion on that as of yet. The identified date for the implementation of that was the start of fall 13. We're not going to be able to get there fall 13, so I wanted to make sure that all of you knew, and I will get communication out to the entire faculty before we complete this semester, that while we are delaying, we are not moving away from the implementation, we are delaying the implementation date. So for all faculty who will not be teaching in either one of the intersession, the extended spring or the summer, when we come back in the fall, we will come back organized in our current division alignments, and then we will work to get the deans of those schools, after we advertise and recruit for the deans of the school, we will get those individuals named and appointed, and we'll move forward from there. The recruitment process for the deans, obviously, well, maybe it is not, so I'll tell you, will be one that will include faculty, classified, and students in that process. So it will be a full vetted process before those deans are named and in place. But I realized that we got to this point in the semester, and it was a high probability that faculty may leave and not be sure what was going to be the case when they came back. So that really is more of an update, if you will, rather than anything of a formal announcement.
Can I ask a question?
When you say deans, do you mean our super uber deans, or are you talking about deans of the division? I'm a little confused what you mean by that term.
I wish I had brought a schematic so you can see it. Super uber deans. I've heard terms like uber deans, co-deans, I've heard all these different things. When I say deans, and let's see if we're talking about the same thing, super uber deans will be the dean, the incumbent dean for each one of the schools. Okay?
And are we at 5 now?
We're at 5.
And then what will those individuals who are overseeing actual faculty be labeled?
That is to be determined. Okay, and that's another reason why it was inappropriate to go forward. That's a discussion that faculty need to be engaged in with those uber deans, if you will, when they're put into place. Okay. I'm going to take a few questions. I really didn't want to dominate the floor like this, so maybe I can take 1 or 2 more questions because I really didn't want to do this. Yes, Marcia.
I'm just wondering, is this schematic for the planned reorganization, is it posted somewhere? Because I've been trying to find it and I can't find.
No, it's not posted anywhere. I apologize for the confusion. We were waiting for some critical parts, elements to come up, and I just got all the information together. So I will be communicating with all of the faculty across the summer, and I don't know if anyone has done this from my office before. Communicate with the faculty, get communication across the summer, so I know I've done that in the past. But as we get this, as the organization, as the draft fleshes out to a final format, I will get that to everyone. So coming back in the fall, faculty will know what it's going to look like, but it will just be a draft because it won't be finalized until obviously we get back, we hire the uber deans, and we go forward from there.
Is there a draft available for dissemination now?
I can have the draft ready by the next day or so.
Okay, I would like that.
Would you like me to get that to President Henry? Okay, I'll get it to Julie for the same day.
Okay, thank you.
Does the administration have a new implementation date in mind, or has that not been determined yet?
It hasn't been firmed up yet. My anticipation is that it will probably be no earlier than the middle of the semester, because I don't think we're going to get the incumbent deans for the schools hired, if you will, recruited and hired anytime before probably the latter part of September, early October. So we're going to be looking at something that will probably start transitioning mid-semester into the end of the calendar year.
Mark?
So for the people that are moving, does that mean we're not moving right now then?
Mark, tell me what you mean by moving.
Moving like where we're at from another place? Into the new building?
You mean being real? Oh no, moving into the new building? No, are you talking about going over to the performing arts? No, yeah, still moving. Yeah, that's
still moving?
Yeah, that's still happening. Yeah, that's still happening. Okay. The physical move, yes, that is.
Get your cardboard boxes.
Just not the mental move.
Just not the alignment, yeah, but pack the boxes, but yeah.
Melissa, go ahead.
So there will be a realignment?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Bell.
Thank you, folks. I have to adjourn now to a physical therapy session, so thank you.
I don't have such a good excuse, but I want to leave you to your business, so thank you all very much.
Thank you. Okay, David Hewitt. David.
So the first one's done. I'm going to ask about moving up the conference. Just to mention that in our division, over 80% of E&T tenured faculty have given written notice to our colleague, Deb Bird, telling her to support the no confidence proposal, and I'm asking respectfully and expecting that she do so directly and immediately without diluting our clear intent. She's chosen in good faith to represent us, and I appreciate her honesty and willingness to act on our behalf.
Okay, thank you, David. Hey, Erland.
Hi, my name is Arlen Vedal, and I My comment consists of 3 points. My first point is to defend Dr. Rocha from accusations that are either personal, unverified, vague, or just plain unprofessional in some way. I wish they would stop. They make the rest of us look bad, and I hope they don't influence your decision. My second point is in support of the vote of no confidence, for 3 reasons. Compare his recent conciliatory letter, the listening letter, with his hostile contract to the union, the last best and final. They just don't match at all. There's no match. Which one should we go by? Well, as far as I know, his last best and final offer is still his official stance on specific and concrete issues which are relevant. The other reason, despite his pleas in his recent letter to consult faculty 2 by 2, there's still no mention of effectively consulting committees. And this is what I hope the core of the vote of no confidence is going to be about, not consulting faculty committees effectively. Last reason, we, the faculty that you represent, really need to vote for this. The process of healing begins with the resolve to not tolerate further injury. And we need this for closure so that we can start fresh next semester. And my last point is positive. Dr. Rocha has done some good things as well. So I am glad to have learned that this vote of no confidence is not about making him quit, but about making him change. Thank you.
Okay, Frederick Major, did I got this right? Frederick?
Yes, that's me. Hi, how are you doing today? I think I'm smoker. Sorry, first time. I just want to come talk to you guys today about a few issues that I've seen. One is the prior registration for veterans being on the chopping block. I do believe that the school did open up some doors and some loops for us. However, the few of us that had issues with getting put on a wait list and hoping that wait list would fall through. For instance, the class that I was trying to sign up for, it was almost like a Monday through Friday all-day class. So therefore, if I was to put myself on the wait list for that class, I can't go sign up for another class. It blocks me on the time. So I had to go ahead and just throw that class away and just sign up for another 4-unit class. I do appreciate the school going through the works, trying to get us priority registration, but it's not the same. I spent, and I believe Professor Hennis vouched for me, I wasn't in his class on April 8th because I was having to sign up for a class that I usually don't have to do, and it took me 17 hours and 20 minutes just to get into the system to find out that I couldn't even get the class that I wanted. And sooner found out that the class that I wanted was already taken about 5 hours after the registration had opened the doors. My second concern is I've been hearing through the grapevine and also heard through the paper that associated students might be taking a hit on their funding. My question is to the board, because I've already emailed it to the president, President Martin, is how can the school afford not to charge any students for the health and registration fees as they have in the past? It's usually $16 for winter or summer. Those $16, some of that funding does go to associated students. I know their funding's already been cut. Does this mean that they're just less funding is going to go because we're not going to collect money from anyone? I mean, I don't have a problem not paying that, but I'm sure all the clubs on campus that utilize that money as well do. So I'm just wondering if that's been brought up to the board, if there's been maybe some money on the back end that's going to cover up for all that loss. Just off the top of my head, $16 from 10,000 students is $160,000. That's quite a bit of money just going down the drain. And I think there's a lot more than 10,000 students going to PCC. Thank you.
Thank you, Frederick. Okay, and is this, Melissa, is this yours?
That's me.
Okay, it's about, I'm going to save your one for the no confidence till we get to that in a moment. So yeah, about the letter.
Yeah. Hi, I just wanted to address, I'm Melissa Michelson. I'd like to address President Rocha's open letter to faculty. First, he never really apologized like he did on the letter to staff. Second, he doesn't acknowledge what the problem is that we need to heal from. And third, he proposes solutions to a problem he doesn't identify, which are for him to listen more and to, quote, change the very nature of administration itself. If I read the last part, if I had read this last part on one of my students' papers, I'd write in the margin, needs more development. How? He doesn't provide details, nor does he wait to hear from those to whom he purports to be committed to listening. His solution reenacts the problem of announcing changes without really listening, first, to the needs of the college community. Also, how can we in twos be expected to go to his office and tell him what isn't working or is in our areas? We have committees and deans in place that give breadth to the overall organization of the college. These past several years, many of us have already been involved in the open communication process to which he alludes. Personally, I never felt I couldn't talk to Dr. Rocha. It's what the talk would result in, if anything, that I questioned. In May 2011, I wrote an email to the board and Rocha expressing my dismay at the cost of hiring 5 new VPs at a time when we were supposedly strapped for cash. Dr. Rocha was cordial in his email response and pleased that we were engaging each other and talking. He said, quote, the root of all problems is the lack of trust, end quote, and that, quote, the culture here is rooted in distrust and adversarial relationships between administration and staff. Over time, he wrote, trust is rooted in actions. I could not agree with him more. That email could have been written yesterday instead of 2 years ago, and unfortunately, his actions have already produced a great deal of distrust and uncertainty that has led to this vote of no confidence. I also just want to remind you that the last Senate meeting, a colleague from Santiago College came and shared the same concerns we're having. That was 13 years ago, and if things haven't changed since then, what will make things change now? For the sake of our institution and all the lives he's already affected, as we've been witnessing, our students, our colleagues, our own, it's time as senators to address the wrongs, take the bull by the horns, lead our healing process, and move on. Thank you.
Marjorie, what was the item you wanted to address?
I just wanted to talk about program review a little bit.
Now, this would be the appropriate time for that. Please. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. Based on the vote that we had the last time, I thought that maybe if, as a Senate, we're saying we want to be responsible for program review, maybe we should do some kind of subcommittee or something ASAP to get on top of that, because the goal was not to undermine accreditation. The goal was just to put things in alignment. So I don't know if we want to wait 4 months before we start having that discussion, or if that's a discussion we need to maybe start having over the summer. I don't know. And then I was also, as a suggestion, with that committee, possibly we could try, when we're thinking who among us would like to do it, maybe an even number of people who supported those changes to the policy and people who opposed that, so we can kind of get both positions and coming with something possibly in the middle. And then maybe we can, as part of that committee, reach out to the existing IEC and see what they're doing, so we can kind of get program review in a way that we can all be happy with, and that is in compliance with shared governance.
Yeah, I would defer that question to Vice President-elect Cairo, so I would encourage you to talk to him and the new team about proceeding forward. Okay. I had one, Deborah Wood, just turned in.
Hello, my name is Deborah Wood, and I'm chemistry faculty here at PCC. And before I say anything, I just want to thank this group very much for all of your incredible, dedicated efforts during what has been a really, really difficult year. I'm here to address the issue of the no confidence vote with Dr. Rocha, and to just bring 2 things from my own discipline in chemistry that I want to leave you to consider. With my students, many of whom are considering careers in healthcare, medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, one of the things I really have to impress upon them is, first, when you're in a crisis situation, in a problem situation, do no harm. even when you're trying to come and fix something and you have the very best of intentions, you have to consider your actions and the outcomes and whether or not, even with the best of intentions, it makes the problem worse. I don't have to elucidate the concerns that we have here. We're well aware of the problems we've experienced with Dr. Rocha's administration. The question is, what course of action are we willing to take or considering taking, and will it in fact make the problem worse? After I went to the very difficult board meeting several weeks ago, not this last one, but the previous one, I left there with this strong impression that whether Dr. Rocha stays as president or considers leaving because of no confidence votes, etc., it will be a difficult road for us either way. So the first, do no harm. The second, with my students, look at the data and draw the best conclusions from it. Certainly the faculty response to the ad hoc poll about no confidence, those who responded overwhelmingly voted no confidence. We're clear on that. But looking at the numbers of who responded, it seemed to me that approximately 45% of the faculty did not return a ballot either way. Those who did, overwhelmingly no confidence. But there is a significant group of faculty here that chose not to respond. So what's the best interpretation of that data? I certainly do not feel that the ones who did not respond were saying, we have confidence in Dr. Rocha's administration. They had the opportunity to mark that ballot, and they did not. Here's how I'm interpreting the data. They are concerned about risking further polarization in the campus climate at this particular time, and chose to just wait and hope that positive change would take place without further tension and stress. And I believe that number is worth looking at. In other words, right now, the data does not suggest to me as a scientist that there is a mandate from the entire faculty for a vote of no confidence or a significant number to justify a vote of no confidence. And that if we push to do that at this time, we risk polarizing the faculty amongst each other, and that consequence to me is alarming, seriously alarming. Because now that sets up a possibility for a message to be communicated to the community that could negatively impact what kind of leadership we're able to attract to this college. Right? Every administration has a finite tenure. Who would be interested in coming to the college in future years? And more importantly, what sort of faculty we would be able to attract, the quality of the faculty based on the spirit of community we have amongst ourselves. So I think it's very important to look at the data and draw the correct conclusions and to reach out to more faculty. I know that in natural sciences, I have not been approached by a Senate representative asking me about my opinion of no confidence from the academic senate. And I feel that that would need to happen amongst more faculty before we're ready to make this vote. Thank you.
Okay, Jane Howland.
Yeah. Okay, this is more or less the same issue, but I was disturbed the last meeting that the vote of no confidence had not been placed on the agenda as been requested, and it has now. I was also bothered by the comment that it had to be vocal and then names would be associated with members' votes. I've been the president of 4 organizations, and I'm not trying to brag, but I've never seen that happen in any of the organizations. So convinced myself, I checked Robert's rules, and this is a summary. It is not the role of the president to keep issues from the agenda if they are issues of concern to the organization. Voting by ballot is permissible. The main concern of this form of voting is secrecy, and it is resorted to when the question is of such a nature that some members might hesitate to vote publicly for their true sentiments. It can be so ordered by a majority vote or by a general consent. Such motions are debatable if not on the agenda. However, the no confidence vote is on for this week. So to vote by ballot, members write their vote, yes or no, put it on a piece of paper and fold it. This method is when secrecy is desired. And I heard the comment that nobody wanted their names, or it would be bad to have names attached or it might be intimidating. The ballots are collected by one designated person, and the voter's name is marked off as vote is handed to the person collecting. Thus, the unsigned ballots are secret. Only the members checked off have voted, but there is no record of individual votes with names. And so, under the conditions of the school at this time, I want to remove the concern that you would have to do an open vote.
Okay, Sarah?
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Belknap, and I wanted to offer a couple of things from a student perspective. I'd like to start by thanking you guys for the work you put in all semester, not just in this committee, but also in the classrooms. I've attended both a four-year private school and PCC, and I found that the education I received here rivals and surpasses anything I've ever seen. So that's one thing we've got going for us. So thank you for that. And I just wanted to address a couple of points about a potential vote of no confidence in the administration. As you know, the cancellation of winter was largely unpopular with students, and the students have already had both a vote of censure and a vote of no confidence in the current administration. I'm particularly interested in one of the points that the Board of Trustees brought to our attention, which is that they also supported the removal of winter, and that they should also be included in this. While I do understand that they supported the removal of winter, they also left it up to our college administration to deal with the logistics involved in removing the winter into session. Winter, if we had a winter this 2013, would have been something that we could put on our transcripts when we applied to Cal States and to UCs in this fall for 2013. Because of the way that the calendar process works and the transfer process works, the class in winter would transfer, the class in summer, what was summer one and is now being called extended spring, maybe wouldn't transfer. And the class in the second session of summer definitely would not transfer for this upcoming calendar year. Everything, of course, would be fine for 1 year around. I give you that background just to let you know that this problem was one of the concerns that students brought up on August 29th at the meeting. One of the concerns we brought up was that we would not be able to take the units we were planning on taking and transfer on time. This is going to delay us, a lot of us in some cases a year, for some people even more, and that was a concern that we had. We brought this to the administration, we voiced our concern, and we were told that it was going to be fine, it was going to be handled. There was a full-page ad in the Courier that said that these classes in the spring one semester were going to transfer, or in the extended spring / summer one, we're going to transfer. That's not the case for most institutions. We found out in February, I think it was late January, early February, that a lot of schools were rejecting students on the basis of when these classes had been completed. Not that they weren't getting the right classes or that they had mismanaged their ed plan, but simply that the class they were going to take in winter that they now had to take in summer one was too late and past the deadline and not acceptable. Our associated students got word that this was happening and thought, hey, oh my gosh, I thought you guys were going to handle the logistical end. You forced this change on us. And then the administration's job was to make sure that they were able to deliver on the promises that they made and make sure that these classes were able to transfer. Our associated students started an emailing campaign to Cal States, UCs, and private schools that our students were transferring to. The reason this is necessary is that our college administration appears not to have done that. I have here the results of a Freedom of Information Act request that myself and another student filed to ask for all correspondence between Dr. Bell and UC and Cal State system between August 29th and then the date of the student no confidence vote. And the earliest email that we find where he discusses transfer at all that they turned over to us was after the initial students in late February, or in late January, early February came with Humboldt. So there were no email correspondences resulting, or bringing up anything about whether or not summer one, or spring two, or summer one, whatever, was going to transfer. So there was no written correspondence, there was no information, and the bulk of the correspondence actually takes place after the student vote of no confidence. So what this means is that the logistics, the administration, the way of handling how this change was going to occur was very severely mismanaged. Very severely. And I really like Dr. Bell as a person. I don't want to come across as picking on him. He seems like a really nice guy. But the fact is that the evidence about how this administration handled this change is that they did it very poorly. There are students who now have been rejected from Cal States and UCs because this winter was canceled. They're going to be here for another year. And it's not just that they're going to be here for another year, it's that the people who were in charge of making sure that this transition would go smoothly didn't do anything to make that happen and told us that everything was going to be okay. So the board might feel like they're partially responsible for the decision, but I do feel like there's a significant amount of responsibility that's on the people whose job it was to make this transition go smoothly, who very clearly did not do that. And again, this is February of this year, so this semester was when all of the work began happening to try to get students to transfer, which was well after the application deadlines for most schools. So, just so you guys know.
Martin, now, do you want to speak when we get to the item, or do you want to speak now?
Well,
We'll get to the item very shortly, but I'll leave it to you guys inside.
it seems like it's appropriate now.
Now? Okay, please, go ahead, Martin.
I'm actually reading this on behalf of one of my colleagues. I'm writing to express my support for the Academic Senate's taking up a vote of no confidence in President Rocha. Based on comments made at a recent Board of Trustees meeting, President Rocha seems to believe that only 14 or 15 faculty oppose him. The truth is that only 16 faculty supported him in the recent vote of no confidence by faculty. It was 188 faculty who made clear that they have no confidence in President Rocha's leadership. With those numbers, I feel it behooves the Senate to move forward with the vote. Such a vote would be in line with the value statement of the Academic Senate for the California Community Colleges, particularly related to leadership. The Academic Senate champions the leadership role of faculty at their colleges and fosters effective faculty participation in governance to effect change. The Senate is respectful and reflective in its work and relationships and expects accountability from its leaders. In all its activities, the Academic Senate adheres to the highest professional ethics and standards. In terms of voice, the Academic Senate promotes faculty primacy in academic and professional matters as established in statute and regulation. The Senate, through leadership and empowerment, endeavors to make each local Senate the voice of faculty in college and district consultation and decision-making. The Senate values thoughtful discourse and deliberation that incorporates diverse perspectives as a means of reaching reasoned and beneficial results. Thus, so long as the vote is taken with respect and reflection, and as a result of thoughtful discourse and deliberation, with the Senate adhering to the highest professional ethics and standards, there is every reason to move forward. Thank you for your dedication and service. Sincerely, Manny Perea.
And Pat, did you want to speak now?
Right. This also concerns the vote of no confidence. If you read carefully the two emails that President Rocha sent us last week and this week, he says he wants to have a collegial conversation with the faculty, 2 by 2 by 2. He promises to listen and learn to support a truly shared vision. He says the task of healing has little to do with policy or accreditation or union contracts, but the Academic Senate's vote of no confidence has everything to do with policy and accreditation. It is because of his policy to violate shared governance that has caused such an unhealthy environment. And if this unhealthy environment continues, PCC will be jeopardizing its accreditation. Case in point, the registration fiasco or farce that occurred last week with the new extended spring that was implemented at the last moment to solve the problem that our students who could not take the classes that they needed winter session now needed to take extended spring classes so they could transfer in the fall. However, as we have learned that this difficulty was both anticipated and addressed by both faculty and students last August when the Board of Trustees canceled winter session, and these arguments have been continually repeated and ignored until now. So why exactly is this vote of no confidence necessary? First, a vote of no confidence does not remove President Rocha as president of the college, nor does it seek to do so. But it sends a message to the Board of Trustees, to the PCC students and community, and to the ACCJC that the Academic Senate has no confidence that he can maintain a healthy shared governance system, implement major changes responsibly, or provide effective leadership to the campus community based on his past and current management style. This vote of no confidence is the only way to get President Rocha's attention. And I do want to remind you all that this email that was sent out to us Tuesday night inviting us to come in and chat 2 by 2 by 2 only occurred after the fiasco on Monday, all right? So this vote of no confidence is the only way I see that we can get his attention. And what he needs to do is not chat with us 2 by 2, but to restore right now the spirit and power behind shared governance.
And last, this will be the end of public comment, I'm going to close it, but is Kelly Camacho.
I apologize that I'm on my phone. I know professors hate when you're on your phone, but I have my notes on this, so sorry. So I basically just wanted to bring up this charming letter from the Board of Trustees and from another student perspective on why the vote of no confidence is really important to students and to us. There's been a lot of talk now that the campus community, both students and faculty, have been taking a lot of action to stand up for the quality of PCC, the quality of academic integrity, the quality of the way that we treat those who work here and those who go to school here. And now that we're standing up for what's right, now is when we supposedly get this talk about, oh, making sure that we don't damage PCC's reputation, and think about Jackie Robinson and all this different stuff, but there's no talking about what the detrimental decisions that have been made would have affected our prestigious alumni, and how we haven't necessarily had prestigious alumni lately. We had prestigious alumni when we didn't make these sorts of decisions. And starting back from problems like canceling winter intersession at the last minute, it was perfectly okay for the administration to make decisions at the last minute when it suited them. When decisions affected tens of thousands of people, both part-timers who have to work at various different institutions, to students who have to plan their schooling alongside working or taking care of families, that was okay. It was okay to make those last-minute decisions. But now, this no confidence vote, which isn't really a last-minute decision, which has been brewing in the minds of faculty for, I will guesstimate, months, now the Board of Trustees thinks waiting about a decision is an okay decision, when they wouldn't wait for us. When only one Board of Trustee member said, wait, maybe we should discuss this. Nah, let's just cancel winter, it'll be fine. And it wasn't fine. And neither is the registration fiasco. Maybe Jackie Robinson would have had a day job and he couldn't have stood in line for stood in line online and then come to campus and spent a total of 17 hours trying to get a summer class. These sort of decisions are ridiculous, and those are the sorts of things that is damaging PCC's reputation. Not faculty and students who are standing up for PCC. These decisions are the things that are damaging PCC. So I would urge you to vote yes on the no confidence vote, not only for faculty, but also for students who've also had our own no confidence vote, both an ad hoc, not a no confidence vote, but an ad hoc petition in favor of winter session and an official AS no confidence vote. So please just consider both students and the quality of PCC today. Thank you.
Justin, can I just make a quick comment about I didn't fill out a card because I didn't know I was going to get this letter during public comment.
Okay.
I just want to talk about number 2 on this letter from the Board of Trustees. What seems to be happening, it seems to me anyway, by the administration and the board is they keep trying to make this a contractual issue. I'm the lead negotiator for the union, the co-lead negotiator, and this is not a contractual issue, okay? So what we do in here is completely different from negotiations. And what it says here is, it says these decisions are now before PERB this summer in formal fact-finding and a hearing before the administrative law judge. We hope that, okay, so they're hoping that we're going to wait on a vote for this. This has to do with a PERB action, a filing that the union made. We believe it's an unfair labor practice for the administration to change the calendar without negotiating with us, which is what we believe they did. This vote of no confidence, in my understanding, has to do with shared governance, which is a completely different thing. And I don't think anybody can question as to whether this calendar that we're currently on, which does not have winter intercession, went through one shared governance body. It couldn't have, because the calendar we approved and the board approved in May, we didn't meet any shared governance during the summer, and in August, the new calendar was approved. It came directly from the administration without any input from any shared governance body. So to suggest that this PERB ruling is going to decide whether it's okay to have a calendar like this or not, that's like saying, well, if PERB says it's not an unfair labor practice, then you all should be okay with shared governance being ignored and just having a calendar implemented on this campus without any input from the shared governance body. And those are two very different things. So the suggestion in here that we wait until the PERB thing, they're unrelated matters. One is a contractual issue, and one is a shared governance issue. And in my opinion, the vote of no confidence is not about the contract. It's about shared governance, and we are the body that is here to protect shared governance. And that's why I think that's it's just an important point that I think they're conflicting two things, not conflicting, what do you say? Conflating, thank you. Conflating two things there, and it's very, I think it confuses people, and they've been doing this repeatedly. So, and I will say that again, on that Larry Mantle show on April 1st, I realize it was April 1st, but I don't think it was a fool, Dr. Rocha said the record will show that this calendar went fully through the shared governance process, which is absolutely not true. So, anyway.
Okay. Joey's been very, very patient. So please go ahead and do your smoking policy as we agreed earlier.
It's about to go up in smoke, actually.
You all need to get smoke.
Does everyone have a copy? I brought 50 copies. I just want to make sure everyone has one. Okay.
I think it's in your packet that was passed out earlier.
Well, actually, you may have the smoking policy, but I wrote out a separate memo for distribution today. So everyone has that. Okay. So basically, I'm going to try to be as brief as I can. Our current smoking policy is that we are, and this is verbiage, this is rhetoric in a way, semantics. So I want to be very clear that PCC is a smoke-free campus, as we stand right now in our current policy. It is a smoke-free campus with designated smoking areas. Some people want it to be a 100% smoke-free campus. And that means no designated smoking areas. So it's very subtle. So when people are banging on their fists on the table and they want a smoke-free campus, we have it. We have designated smoking areas. So you have to be very clear when you're trying to discern what you want your campus to be. Is it 100% smoke-free or is it smoke-free? The majority of campuses across the state are what we are, just for the record. Okay? So during the past year, I don't want to tell you how long I've been on the Health and Safety Committee. However, during the last year, Dr. Rocha reconstituted or brought together the Health and Safety Committee, and I am now co-chair, which was passed or it was voted on last May. And so that has predominantly been what the Health and Safety Committee has worked on during the last year. In the past, our campus policy was more of a, this is what our campus policy is, that we're 100% smoke-free with designated areas, and we as a body were supposed to have a smoke-free campus without enforcement. I'll just go to the net of the center of the net. But practice has been that we don't have enforcement. In case you're unaware of that, we do not have an enforcement policy. It was, please remind people to move on, please remind people that we have a designated smoking area, but you know that we have smokers who smoke and litter our campus with cigarette butts. So, and they're not in designated smoking areas necessarily. However, the campus policy, the Health and Safety Committee has been meeting, and I would like to highlight for you what the differences are that we're proposing now. We would like to keep the campus, what we're suggesting, and I'm here just as an information piece, and if you would like to give some feedback, I'm happy to take it from you today. What we'd like to do at this point is keep the policy as it is, that we would be a smoke-free campus with designated smoking areas. We're going to change and that is the district policy. That's the district policy. So if people want to smoke, they have a designated area to go to. Currently, we don't have that. But we'd also like to add in the procedures part, which would be something that would be in the purview of administration or the campus constituent groups, that we would prohibit additional items on campus, such as cigarettes, cigars, hookahs, pipes, smokeless devices such as e-cigarettes, and chewing tobacco, snuff, and biddies. All those things are things that create smoke or are at risk for our public health here. What would be different? We never had anything in enforcement. So what the Campus Health Safety Committee is suggesting is that we do move to an enforcement piece of it. And the enforcement piece would be that our campus police would be citing people who were smoking in the out of the areas for designated smoking areas. How do we do that? Well, in the years past, the campus police didn't want to put their sworn officers on cigarette patrol. You know, they had more important things to do. And quite frankly, what I learned behind the scenes was that we didn't have the legal ability to do that. So in 2009, when we made our campus a smoke-free campus, we didn't have the law behind us to enforce it anyway. So in January of 2011, AB 795 signed into law that higher institutions could do that. They could cite violators at a maximum of $100 per offense. So what the Campus Health and Safety Committee would like to do is put in a tiered violation situation where if someone is found to be smoking outside the area, that we would have sworn officers be able to cite, that students would be charged $25 at the first offense, $50 at the second, $75 at the third, and then a records hold would be after the third offense, and they'd have to meet with the Dean of Student Affairs to discuss their misconduct. All the fines would be paid through the parking, the similar system that we have, the outside agency that handles our parking citations. And all the citations have to be paid in 21 days or it goes off to a collection agency. The enforcement of staff would follow the same order in which staff would be paying, their fine would be a little different. It would be $35 for 3 offenses and then up to $100 and stay at $100. And again, it would not be any kind of disciplinary actions for employees. It would actually just be you pay the fine, and if you don't want to pay it, then it goes to the collection agency. And as well for visitors, we thought that visitors would pay, we're not going to see visitors maybe more than once, but they would be at $35 per violation. There is a way to put this into place, just like we have it for our parking citations, just to bring that up. The Health and Safety Committee thought it would be wise to do a campus-wide campaign, upgrade the smoking areas because they aren't attractive. They don't invite smokers particularly. They don't invite non-smokers either. We would have an informational campaign through our social media, our campus areas, our publications, and we would talk during the summer. Our intention was to talk during the summer months and Welcome Day to make sure people know we're a campus smoke-free environment. Student Health Services already offers cessation smoking services to our students. So we would make a major campaign and let students know more about that. That, by the way, is a free cessation smoking service at our campus. So students come in, they enroll for $15. If they attend all 6 or 8 sessions, they get their $15 back. They get nicotine replacement aids and personal counseling for free. If they need the antidepressant Wellbutrin for their smoking cessation service, they can get that for free. So this is how the student health fee is used, is to give the students who need that service for free, with the catch that they have to spend $15 to enroll, but they get it back if they attend all 3 or all 6 sessions. And then again, I just reiterate that we have campus officers. Chief John Yoder will have reserve officers available to cite people. And we had thought we'd have a grace period for the beginning of the fall semester. This was predicated on the idea that we would get this through. I don't think it's going to happen. But just this is the path that the Health and Safety Committee wanted to make, was that we would have a grace period for the first month of this fall semester, and that we would then begin citing on October 1st, 2013. So that is a memo that I put it in briefly for you, and also I attached the California Colleges and Universities policies that you can be aware of all the campuses that are like us. There are a few that are 100% smoke-free policies, and there are some that are 100% tobacco-free policies. What we had intended to do was to try not to go to the Board of Trustees and try to get the district policy changed, but rather just work with what we currently have. I can tell you that there are people who really want this to be a 100% smoke-free policy campus. However, if we don't have the enforcement, there's no point in going there. We have to have something that enforces people not to smoke on campus. And if you just say, please excuse me, you're not supposed to smoke here, people aren't doing it. They're not paying attention.
We have, I think you're going to be the timekeeper today. So how much time do you have?
So we have about 3 minutes left for this question.
Okay. So Mark, please go ahead.
My question is under the enforcement. Basically, it says that you're expecting people on campus just to enforce it. It's saying that they report, you know, the way it's worded, if you report someone, then the campus police shall give a citation. So does that mean that you're expecting other students and faculty to report someone who's smoking to the campus police?
No, we're not expecting it. It's just they have the option to do it if they choose to do it.
And if they don't do that, then how is there any enforcement for this? I don't see any different enforcement than what we have now. They don't enforce what's here, like skateboards and all that other crap.
Okay,
They don't enforce anything.
At this point, there hasn't been enforcement because, well, we didn't have the law behind us. Now that we're coming back and looking at the policy, we now have the law behind us that we can enforce it. And I think by putting teeth into this enforcement, which is the fine, I think you're going to have more compliance. Other campuses, there are 2 or 3 other campuses that are going through fines, and they're finding smoking as less of a problem on their campuses.
But how does that get the police to actually enforce?
Chief Yoder is in support of this. That's the difference.
So it's more
There will be designated officers who will be there to enforce this policy.
Okay, Melissa?
Melissa Massey.
About the upgrading of campus designated smoking areas, I've noticed that the one over here has been upgraded, there's planters and bench and whatnot, but my students don't complain about the beauty of it, they complain about the distance from their classrooms. And so I don't know if you're looking into, this is probably opposite to what you're thinking, but I mean, maybe offering more zones. I mean, I know that's probably opposite. But then there's, if you're not going to do that, then we could, you know, probably discuss this more. But if you could put about the smoking cessation, maybe could be in those areas that where students are smoking. Just
Oh, yes.
You know.
Well, there are other plans here that we're in looking at the upgrades. We wanted to make them uniform, and we would have information there about cessation smoking as well.
And then one more thing was about signage. There should be more permanent signs around campus. And I noticed you're going to put informational campaign, but we need something permanent.
Yes, we agree.
Matt? It's Matt Yolanda.
Yeah, hi. I'm wondering about the item 2 here, items prohibited. And the way I read this, you're not allowed to walk across campus with cigarettes in your pocket. And my other, that's a statement. A question would be, why not e-cigarettes? They don't actually create smoke, they create vapor. And thirdly, the smokeless tobacco, as far as chewing, I'm wondering why that would be prohibited as well.
Because those are tools for cessation as well. So it seems like
You're saying that chewing tobacco is
well, no, the smokeless e-cigarettes.
Okay, well, that I will save for another discussion. I'll just say one thing, they are not FDA approved. They do have adulterants in them that are just as, they're carcinogenic as well. And there are other campuses that are not allowing them because of the vapor, even though it's a water vapor, it is a problem. But I would be happy to discuss that at a later time.
Yolanda?
I guess I was looking at the policy and where it talks about enforcement and that it, for students, it holds their records, but it also sends them to collections. And I was wondering if we have to be that harsh on students, because wouldn't it be enough to hold their records? I know that students are poor. They get themselves into these situations where they have to pay these fines, and then they don't have the money, and then they don't pay the fines, and then that follows them for the next 7 years of their life with credit, which is a huge thing in getting a job now. They look at your credit. And so I'm just wondering if there's a way that for students, the enforcement could, and that it could have a records hold, and then when they graduate, they're going to want to take care of that records hold, and they will pay their fines, and without having have been sent to collections.
So
Pat.
and then Martha, and then we've ended time on this.
Okay.
Actually, I'll, because Matt probably knows.
Okay. So Pat?
I want to mention a couple things. For the last several years, because I knew it wasn't being enforced, I tried to be polite, but I have gone and asked a good number of students to please put out their cigarettes. And I have to say, about 3 years ago, most of them were very cooperative. They would say thank you. They would physically, you know, put out the cigarette, whatever. But lately, I'm realizing that the ones who are still smoking kind of flagrantly, and behind the R building, if you think there's no smoking, just come and visit us. But the signage, I don't think is the issue, because I have said to many, have you looked right behind Program Center at that big sign posted right there? The sign telling them this is not a designated smoking area. But they're going right on smoking. And some of them now, even when I ask them very politely to please not smoke in this area, they just brush it off and they look at me like, so what are you going to do about it? And so I think part of our educational campaign should definitely include reminders about the fact that if they don't pay, don't meet their responsibility, and it's turned over to a collection agency, that could impact their record. They should know that. I think some of those who are continuing to smoke, frankly, are going to continue to do it until something pushes them in a different direction. I hate to be so cold-hearted, but maybe it will be helpful if we can upgrade our current, the smoking areas. They've never been really decent. The only one that really is used is the one down in front of Shatford or beyond, and students will gather down there. I've seen a number of them. But that place looks nice. I mean, it's clean, it's in the shrubs. It may create a little smoke down there for people who have to walk by. But no matter where we put it, somebody's going to have to walk by that area. Even people coming in from the parking lot will walk by the area. But this place has always looked out here, for example, just like a sandbox. I mean, really, I've felt sorry for smokers who are willing to go out there, and it hasn't been very many. So I would just like to say, though, that I do agree with Mark. The key here is enforcement. If our own local police and safety are willing to enforce this, to write up the citations, I don't think the flagrant smokers will continue. But I think unless there's some enforcement, they will. Because just asking them politely doesn't seem to be working any longer.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, that closes the discussion. Thank you, Pat, Jill, for being very patient for 3 weeks. Or 3 meetings, excuse me. Okay, by the vote earlier, the next item that we'll be considering is the emergency motion from Krista. So please, go ahead, Krista.
I just have a very brief report on the calendar, and then we'll be asking for your emergency agenda item. First of all, I wish to acknowledge and thank Kathy Barnes, who is the Administrative Assistant in Student and Learning Services, for her professionalism and commitment. Kathy has worked under duress to support this committee, in addition to her regular duties, and without additional compensation. She's done an exceptional job, and I have the deepest respect and appreciation for her and all the other staff here at PCC who have been pulling double duty since Rocha took office. Since the board imposed the calendar we are currently laboring under, last August, the Calendar Standing Committee has been challenged to fulfill its charge, and I'll just remind you what that is. The charge of this committee is to recommend a calendar that supports the pedagogical and operational needs of students, faculty, and staff within the framework of the negotiated agreements between the collective bargaining units and the district. During the fall, there was much discussion amongst the committee members and in public comment about the dysfunction of the calendar without winter, as we were experiencing it initially. Then, as the months passed, we began to hear about all the many problems resulting from a calendar with an extended spring. As a committee, we listened very carefully to the students, to the faculty and staff who came to our meetings. This semester, we decided to begin to gather data. We researched other colleges and assembled the many arguments and points that have been brought to our attention. You have a document, or you should have, that was on the table called the Pedagogical Rationale for a Calendar with Winter. That is just a partial assemblage of these points that have been brought to our attention. Not once did we hear any rationale for the calendar without winter, except that it was the board's calendar, and they wanted it in place. When President Rocha declared that the winterless calendar was better for students, we looked for a convincing rationale from him. We have yet to see that. In March, we delivered a statement to the Board of Trustees detailing some of these matters, and we informed them that it was our intention as a committee to present a calendar for 13-14 with winter. Since that meeting, we have compiled this rationale that you have before you, and I will continue to reach out to the board. As a committee, we were also challenged by cancellations. Dr. Bell canceled 2 of our meetings and was not able to attend the last one. In retrospect, the lost time and confusion threatened to undermine this process. We should, in fact, be working on calendars for 14-15 and 15-16 by now. We are woefully behind due to the board's action. But despite all of these delays, we prevailed. The committee finalized and approved the 13-14 calendar on April 11th during a special meeting that we held because we were so behind. Our last scheduled meeting is not until next week. The 13-14 calendar was approved by a vote of 12 yeas, 1 nay, and 2 abstentions. So I'm here today to ask this body to vote to place this calendar on the agenda for approval as an urgent matter in the interest of time, which is my part.
Second. Second? Okay, that was Matt first, Paul second. Okay, before we can discuss this, we need to, let's take roll to see how many people. I did the math, but I want to make sure my math was right. So Judy, could you call roll? I don't count yet.
Panella?
Yes.
Dan Haley?
Yes.
Mark Dodd? Early Douglas? Danny Hammond?
Here.
Tomas Riojas?
Present.
Patricia De Orange Martin? Deborah Bird?
Yeah.
Robert Oventile?
Here is
Marjorie Smith. I'm sorry.
Marjorie's substitute.
Marjorie Smith. Pat Rose.
Here.
And Martha's.
Martha Bonilla.
Here is Robert Oventhal.
Coffee's not good, so she's not going to
And you do it so well.
Excuse me.
So Blanca's Chris. Chris doesn't count because she's an alternate.
Blanca Rodriguez.
Blanca, okay.
Karen Skiatidis. Kristen Hyatt.
Here.
Terry Stoddard. Andres Borjak.
Present.
Loknath Prasad. Melissa Michelson.
Here.
Dorothy Potter.
Here.
Kathleen Uyikawa.
Here.
Pat Peach.
Here.
Matthew Hennis.
Here.
Katie Rodriguez. Valerie Foster. Paul Jarrell.
Here.
Tad Carpenter.
Yeah.
Mark Whitworth.
Here.
Eduardo Cairo.
Here.
Derek Milne.
Lauren is here as the.
Lauren here is the alternate. We'll get to that in a second.
All right. Francis Neon.
Yes.
Lauren Aronson.
I'm here twice.
Okay.
No, those are alternates.
Joe Bushko.
Here.
Yolanda McKay.
Here.
Rod Foster.
Here.
Okay. Just be patient. I'm just going to do the math. 2, 3. My math was right. Okay, I got 26 people here. I did the 2/3. If any of my math people can correct me if I'm wrong. Need 17 to get the item on the agenda. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So.
It's got to be 17. It's got to be 2/3 of the total.
2/3 of the total on the Senate?
Two-thirds of the people in attendance, if it's more, if there are more than 2/3 of the people in attendance, you should. Yes.
Yeah, we did this last time.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I feel good about this result.
Okay, so we need 17 to agree to put it on the agenda. So Judy, could you just call roll? You're voting yes to put it on the agenda or no not to. Okay, so just go ahead and call roll.
Pinella.
Yes.
Dan Healy.
Yes.
Mark Dodge.
Yes.
Early Douglas.
Yes.
Danny Hammond.
Yes.
Tomas Riojas.
Yes.
Deborah Byrd.
Yes.
Marjorie Smith.
Yes.
Pat Rose.
Yes.
Martha Bonilla.
Yes.
Kristen Hyatt.
Yes.
Andres Borjak.
Yes.
Melissa Michelson.
Yes.
Dorothy Potter.
Yes.
Kathleen Uikawa.
Yes.
Pat Peach.
Yes.
Matthew Hennis.
Here. Oh, yes.
Paul Jarrell.
Yes.
Tad Carpenter.
We got 2/3 of it.
Yes.
Still continuing.
Just continue, yes.
Mark Whitworth.
Yeah.
Eduardo Cairo.
Yes.
Francis Neong.
Yes.
Lauren Aronson.
Yes.
Joe Bushko.
Yes.
Yolanda McKay.
Yes.
Rod Foster.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay, show it as unanimous. Okay, so the item is now up for discussion. Any motions from the floor about this item?
I move that we vote on it.
Okay.
Call the question.
Who's second?
Okay, so the move is to discuss and approve this particular version of the calendar. There was a first from Martha and a second from, I'm sorry, who was the second? Eduardo. Okay, discussion. Yes.
I just want to point out that the calendar committee was not able to decide on the dates for the professional development days after the spring semester. So that's why the teacher on the plan.
Okay. Kat?
I mean, like with everything, I would think that with a shared governance, we should take this back to our divisions for them to decide too.
And then do what with it, because we won't have another meeting.
By doing so,
Yes, please, Martha.
by doing so, you've effectively canceled out their participation in shared governance. So this is one of those times when we as senators need to operate as a body for our the people who have elected to represent us, or the other way around.
Any other? Yes, please, Congress.
In our division, we got an email asking the faculty how they feel about this calendar. And I don't know if they told us officially with the resulting numbers, but the members of the calendar committee asked us, all of us in our division, to give us feedback. Has anybody done this in the other divisions?
I did that in my division, and the majority of my responses were in support of it. But the details weren't all hammered out. It was more of a winter configuration.
Dorothy?
I did it in the library. I talked to every faculty member, full-time faculty member in my division about this.
And we did it in natural sciences also, and I would like to point out that the calendar committee had posted numerous times that there were going to be meetings and these were going to be discussed at the meetings, and that would have been an appropriate venue to voice concern as well during the committee meeting itself.
Matt.
And as a member of the calendar committee, I can say that nobody has come into the calendar committee meeting and said, I want one without winter. Nobody does. I mean, people responded to me personally, yes, but nobody's come into a committee meeting and said that.
Well, anything that's been, it's not like this is the calendar issue is a surprise. An opportunity to make your voices known for sure.
Any further comments? Yes, please, Lori.
I would just like to thank the members of the calendar committee for your level of professionalism, your dedication, your grace in all of this, for putting it on the pulse. I mean, you have not missed a beat, so thank you so much from all of us.
Seeing no further discussion, I guess we can go ahead and move it to the vote, because there was a motion to call it a vote. Is that correct? Was that the motion?
Is there a motion to call to a vote?
Do you want to make a motion to call it to a
I
vote?
called the question a while ago.
Yeah. So I guess you can call roll. Go ahead. Oh, no, that's when we can roll call. Okay, this, all in favor of this, of approving this calendar signify by raising your hand. Let me count. Keep your hands high.
This is in favor of the calendar.
In favor of this calendar. 1, 2, 3. I had 23. Any opposed to this calendar? 1. So 23 to 1. And I don't call abstention. 1 abstention. Okay, so 23, 1, 1. All right. Next, Melissa, you have the floor.
Well, I was going to propose 2 things. I wanted to divide this motion. I have to somehow go over there, turn on the computer, project. I was going to propose we divide the motion. First look at the document and talk about the wording so we're all comfortable with it, and then figure out what to do with it. I wanted to actually make changes right on the screen so everybody can see. Yes.
I think it would be really good if you could state specifically what you want to do with this. Because from the public comment, I can still see that there's lots of people that really don't know where this vote is coming from. Whether it's just the academic senate or whether we're representing the divisions. So if you could just a one statement saying, this is basically what you're trying to get.
Well, I think that's part of the greater question here that we need to probably discuss, because there still is questions amongst ourselves here in the Senate. So I wanted to clarify or go over the language, the words on this paper, and see if we're open. If these are factual. These are. I've gotten several senators, some who are not here today, some who are here today, have given me their feedback, and I want to, finish up the read with it, and then get to the bottom of it, and then we can maybe open it up to the public comment. I think there is more public comment to be had, and discuss the full ramifications. So should we start? I thought we could just look at the top. I would read it out loud, see what people have to say, and then move on. I don't. Does that work for everybody? It's fine. Okay. So this is the Pasadena City College Academic Senate resolution. This is our resolution voting on confidence for President Mark Rocha. Whereas President Mark Rocha, the President Superintendent, has repeatedly violated the regulations and spirit of shared governance. See, for example, Ed Code Section 7092B7 that quote, ensure faculty, staff, and students the right to participate effectively in district and college governance, and this is added, said regulations contained in Title V, Section 53-200, and so on. Any changes that need to be made there? We'll go down. Whereas President Mark Rocha violated AB 17.5's provision for shared governance, which reads that a community college district's governing board must consult collegially to develop policies on academic and professional matters by relying primarily on the advice and judgment of the academic senate or the governing board or its designees, and the academic senate shall reach mutual agreement by written resolution, regulation, or policy of the governing board effectuating such recommendations. Yeah.
I don't know where this fits in, but I think that the Board of Trustees has made a pretty good suggestion that they be included in this. Obviously, they are supporting Dr. Rocha, and they're saying he's doing what we've asked. And so telling the Board of Trustees that we're not happy with the decisions that he's making, I'm not sure that
I would challenge that because this is the paperwork that Dr. Rocha brought to us a few weeks ago.
Right.
And handed it all out to us. And here, August 15, 2012, 2 members of the Board of Trustees from Mark Rocha, Superintendent President, regarding recommendation for implementation of tentative student calendar. And so it came from him. He's the one that's made these suggestions in the first place to the board. I don't think the board took it upon themselves to say, I think we should get rid of our winter intersession. I think we should try to get rid of the 16-week semester. I mean, from the very beginning, I've been on Faculty Senate ever since President Rocha came here, and one of the first things he tried to do was take away our faculty rights at hiring new faculty, and he wanted to make the final decision. So it's sort of been these things that, and watching it, I know that the board has written that letter, and to me it's just tactical, because it doesn't seem to be the reality of what I've experienced in the past 3 years anyway.
So there's also the last whereas that says that whereas the Pasadena City College Board of Trustees, in keeping with the Accrediting Commission for Community and Junior Colleges accreditation standards, delegates full responsibility and authority to the Chief Administrator to implement and administer board-approved policies without board interference, and holds him or her accountable for the operations of the district.
Okay, so just to clarify, so I've got, after Matthew respond, then I got Martha, and then Paul, and then Francis.
Well, I'm happy to continue listening.
Well, I just wasn't sure if you had a response,
Sure.
so Martha.
I was just gonna say what Melissa just said, but I'm not actually saying that we shouldn't. But maybe not in this letter. Maybe that's another vote of no confidence.
The students did take it separately, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah. So we might think about that at another time.
Okay, so Paul and then Francis.
Yeah, and I think also, kind of to reiterate a little bit what Yolanda said, I think that the lack of confidence or the meat behind this is that if we approve this, we're saying we don't feel that he would make the appropriate recommendations to the board. And I think that that's appropriate in that context to have it just be solely the president as opposed to the president. We're not saying then that the board, you may not have faith in them to govern as well, but that's kind of a different issue.
Okay, thank you.
Francis?
I think what the board says, the board, not your superintendent, president, made decisions that are being called into question here. They have not indicated who made the recommendations. I don't think that 7 members of the board are not empirically on hand every day. They're not here for everyday administration. They depend on the superintendent president to have a clear understanding of the different constituencies of the community and make recommendations to them as ordinary individuals elected as politicians, having no hand in the day-to-day micromanagement of the college. So they depend on the president to have a good understanding of the different constituencies and the feelings and the attitude and psychology. And on the day he made the presentation, he was pressed on the issue, who makes the recommendation? Do you make the recommendation in good faith with a sense of the fact that you have trust of your colleagues, you are addressing them as colleagues? Did you fully consult with them and then have the understanding that they are on board with you and they will give you support of this? Or you just were working against it? And the question of the hiring say, legal counsel, sometimes the legal counsel should take care of him, not the whole college. There's kind of that atmosphere. For the legal counsel, as long as it gets me out of trouble, I don't care who gets hurt.
So we can move on to the next paragraph?
Lauren actually had a comment.
Oh, thank you. Very quickly, in the bullet points, and Melissa, I don't know the answer to this, but in the third one, sorry, I'm reading.
Wait, which bullet point?
The third one, with regard to NCN and class size.
Can
I know, but can I just ask a really quick question? I'll forget, I've had way too much coffee, so let me just go for a second. And with regard to these bullet points, all of them, this is like Francis was saying, this is day to day. Did this information make it to the board ultimately? Like, did the board ultimately make the decision for the class size NCN? I mean, okay, so that is not the president that made the decision. That's ultimately the board is accepting responsibility for that.
He recommends, the way it works is that the president recommends and the board actually takes the legal actions.
Right. I just didn't know because right now the NCNs, I know in the final comments to the FA, they want the NCNs to go up. But before this final offer, did they even know what was going on? Does that make sense? Am I? Okay.
Yeah, Lauren.
Right, but that's my question, and
we're also,
I
but
really want to get through the box.
Okay.
can I, as we go through these extra things, can I speak to that? Because I think Lauren is going in the direction that we want to have clarity on, which is that we want to make sure that what we're doing in this body as we edit is really solidly from the perspective of the 10+1 and not from a union perspective. So we really want to, as we're editing this document, keep that clarity in mind, because what we're asking is stuff that's really about the pedagogy in place, not about necessarily the like wages and working conditions impact or that negotiated item. And I'm going to make some suggestions in a minute because of that framework. But just as we're all looking at that idea, like I would make that clear.
We don't want to conflate in the same way that the board is conflating.
Right.
So, okay, anybody else?
Please, Melissa, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So then, whereas he violated AB 1725's provision by, and then there are 3 examples, on August 29, 2012, recommending a unilateral cancellation of the winter 2013 intersession while willfully misrepresenting excerpted minutes. And I'm sorry it's red. I can take everything. It'll be underlined. I don't know why it's underlined either. So
just keep going.
Just keep going. Be red. Sorry. A unilateral cancellation of winter 2013 intersession while willfully misrepresenting excerpted minutes from the calendar committee's discussion as the calendar committee's assent to and support for a trimester calendar, which in fact did not ever happen, doing so in willful disregard of an already established 2012-2013 academic calendar, which had been A, signed off on by all members of the college's shared governance calendar committee on April 12, 2012, B, recommended for adoption by the college council on April 25th, 2012, C, unanimously approved by the governing board of trustees on May 2nd, 2012. So, any changes we can make to this? And please be specific, because I like to highlight and change.
So I know that this will sound more controversial than I intended to be, but with that framework around clear designation between the academic senate and union, I would like to remove this section. I think that the following 2 bullet points really clearly fall within the purview of 10+1, and given the history of the academic senate and the calendar, I think that if we're talking about kind of clarity of reasoning, I think that the following 2 make a lot more sense, and this one is a more muddled argument publicly. So I might recommend that that's one that we remove.
I understand that, but I find that really hard to believe in light of the fact that this body just approved a calendar for next year. That, I mean, we have a
well, we didn't approve it.
Process. I understand what you're saying with regard to being unclear about the violation of the contract shifting with a working condition, but it really is a separate issue. I mean, there was a calendar that was approved by this body.
Right. So then I've got Martha, Matt, and then Danny.
Well, the point being here is the spirit and regulations of shared governance, as well as specifically the consult collegially. So we are making a considered recommendation when we put forward a calendar. And just so we're all clear, in the past, in fact, it has been the past practices of this campus and this Senate up until last year to put forward the standing calendar on which the board moved on or voted in. In other words, the board in the past had relied primarily on our recommendations. So quite frankly, this, if anything, I don't want to remove it. If anything, would make it stronger to, contradict the rely primarily on procedures by which we had practiced in the past. And without which, by the way, if we don't have a rely primarily on it, there needs to be a standing memorandum. And if there is no memorandum of understanding between the Senate and the board can't suddenly decide to change the way in which the calendar is enacted.
Okay, so I got Matt and then Dan.
Matt.
Since this body did approve the calendar that had winter and that approval was disregarded, I think that this body is among those who were directly injured in the shared governance process, and so I think it's appropriate to leave this in here with a change that I would suggest. And I don't know if I should offer that now or until after this particular discussion is over.
I think it's Melissa's open to it.
Okay, I think after the word trimester calendar, the which in fact did not ever happen, I think that we could lose that part because now we're complaining that it didn't actually happen.
The not that the trimester calendar. What
the committee's assent.
the
committee's
calendar committee's assent to and support for it did not ever happen.
Okay, perhaps a grammatical change could make that a little more clear.
It's a misplaced modifier there.
Maybe which assent did not ever happen or something like that?
The assent to which and support for.
Danny
Assent to which and support for a trimester.
Well, it can be.
So, Danny, you're up next, and then Yolanda.
Yeah, okay. Two questions and then just a general comment. One, I believe after it goes from the calendar committee, doesn't the academic senate approve it?
Yes.
So that's not listed in there.
It goes calendar committee, academic senate, college.
Then college council, right? Okay, and then it actually then was recommended by the current administration, which I think should be listed in there because it's that administration that actually then reversed itself, and then was approved by the governing board of trustees. But you have to understand that the administration is the one that actually recommended it. So two things on that, and then I want to make one last general comment. So let's see. Calendar committee should be A. B should be, was approved by the academic senate, or something to that effect.
All right. So B will be.
We're going to need to find a date on that too, Danny. We're going to keep
find that date.
So put in a placeholder.
Well, I mean, I don't care. I'm just recommending it. So you don't want to put it in.
It would have been
Maybe we don't need to add that in right now. Maybe we'll just go with.
Yeah. Okay. Just don't put it in. That's fine. All right.
We don't need it.
My bigger concern is the overall idea that this is somehow contractual and union. I don't see the FA anywhere mentioned in that paragraph. All I see are shared governance. The bodies, the calendar committee, the college council, and then the board of trustees. So I don't even I guess I'm just baffled by how this is somehow a contractual issue that is somehow union related and not academic senate, because those are all shared governance bodies. There's nothing about the contract or negotiations in that paragraph. So could you explain why you think it's contractual or union?
My concern is that the calendar has been a negotiated item, and that under the previous academic senate, it was given to the union primarily to consult upon. And so my moment is in tightening this argument,
yeah.
Right? Like, if you want to keep yourself open for debate around it, you're welcome to. But I think that we have a much stronger argument going with the following 2 points. But I understand, like, let me be clear, I understand the concern, but I think this is one of those, we've discussed this in the past before, the clear line of who is supposed to go in what order around the calendar has been clearly muddled, and I think we would be better off going with the second one. But again, if I'm just giving my...
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
That's like,
so can I just make 2 quick responses to that?
If it's okay, I know Yolanda, I've got you up next, so if you let Danny to respond.
Okay, so number one, I brought that up at the last public comment, this discussion that the calendar was turned over to the FA. As co-lead negotiator over the past 2 years, during the time that Ed supposedly did this, I have no record of it. I have no knowledge of it. There's nothing in writing. I even asked at public comment if anybody has any record of that or any evidence of that or anything in writing to that effect to provide it. It hasn't been provided so far. So, number one, I think there's a misunderstanding as to this being turned over. Number two, what has been the past practice ever since I've been here for the last 17 years is the union's involvement in the calendar has always been a sign-off on whatever went through this shared governance process, and we have never, ever opposed whatever went through that shared governance process. So,
Yolanda.
I was just thinking that maybe we could take out unilateral and replace it with on August 29, 2012, recommending a cancellation of the winter 2013 intercession without consulting academic senate and willfully misrepresenting. That way, because I think the unilateral might be something that the board just negatively responds to because of this letter that they sent us.
Well,
I mean, I think that he did do it on his own, but I think that if we say that he did it without consulting us, that's what our view is.
I mean, this is our resolution. I mean, it's a statement from the board, from us to the board. It's not something that we want them to necessarily agree with. I mean, if it happened, it happened. If it didn't happen, then we should not put that there.
Well, I guess I'm not sure of how it happened, that if it was unilaterally himself.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
He
didn't say, let's
He
do
didn't
that.
consult us, we know that.
Yeah, so one at a time.
Where would you like to put the, can you repeat that?
On August 29, 2012, recommending a cancellation of the winter 2013 intercession without consulting academic senate and willfully misrepresented exerted minutes from the calendar committee discussion.
Okay, so 1 second, I'd like to interject with a time check. So we've now spent over 20 minutes editing this. This is only our third agenda item, and we still have the rest of the agenda items to move through. I'd like to make a motion to extend the conversation on this another 20 minutes.
Second. Who's the second?
Okay, so what
We didn't hear who the second was.
Eduardo.
Eduardo. Okay, we have to vote. That motion's non-debatable. So the motion was to extend by 20 more minutes. All in favor of extending 20 more minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Okay,
Well,
so
one
what I
opposed?
have here is
One opposed.
August 20.
Okay, so we have 20 more minutes.
And next up is Andres, and then Martha, and then Dan.
And willfully.
No, are we done with that change in that sentence?
Okay, yes, we are done.
Andres.
And I put in parentheses, which in fact did not ever
Not
happen.
and.
Just a question of clarification. Did this misrepresentation happen on August or around August 29th, or?
Yeah, he provided minutes to the board in the board packet.
Okay. Are we done with this?
No. Oh, wait,
Okay.
so wait, it's Martha.
Martha and then Dan.
And then Dan.
Okay.
So
I have
Martha?
a grammatical issue too, so maybe, well, I was gonna just say recommending a unilateral, you can scrape out the unilateral cancellation of winter 2013 intercession while willfully misrepresenting the excerpted minutes from the calendar committee discussion as the calendar committee's assent and support for a trimester calendar, comma. Doing so willfully, in doing so, so scrape out that whole, which is, and in doing so, willfully disregarded, willfully disregards any already established, willfully disregarding any already established 2012-2013 calendar. Got it?
Okay, and in doing so willfully disregarding
And already established.
and already established.
And if you want to say Senate approved at that point.
Approved, that would work.
Okay. Academic calendar.
All right, Dan.
Dan?
All right, in the first part, I want to go back to the original wording, and I'll tell you why. Say, without consulting the academic senate. In Roach's mind,
If he passes Dustin in the hallway and says, hey, what do you think about the calendar? And Dustin says, well, I don't know about it, that's consulting as far as he's concerned. And he's done it before. If you mention one word to Dustin and Dustin says one word back to him, as far as he's concerned, he's consulted, and that's all he has to do. I think unilaterally actually makes it more stronger point where he just declared, this is where we're going.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Marjorie?
Recommending a cancellation of winter 2013 intersession without, and I'm taking without consulting academic senate, that's coming out.
Yeah.
On August 29, 2012, recommending a unilateral cancellation of the winter 2013 session and willfully misrepresenting excerpted minutes from the calendar committee's discussion as the calendar's committee's assent to and support for the trimester calendar, comma, and in doing so, willfully disregarded an already established Senate-approved 2012-2013 academic calendar, comma, which had been signed off on.
Okay.
Good?
Disregarded instead of regarding.
So, Marjorie?
But it says
Willfully disregarded.
Disregarded.
Regarded.
Disregarded. Doing so, willfully disregarded and already established. Okay? Next bullet.
Marjorie?
So Marjorie had her hand up.
And one is, after trimester calendar, you don't need a comma in front of that and, because you're not connecting two independent clauses. And then the other thing is that if we want to keep, I don't know that unilateral cancellation represents what we want to say. I think possibly we should say unilaterally recommending.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Unilaterally recommended a cancellation.
Right, and then that represents action.
Unilaterally recommending a cancellation of the winter.
And you can leave out the A, you don't need an A in front of cancellation either.
All right.
Unilaterally recommends
So go to the
cancellation.
next bullet.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
By mandating campus-wide instructional division realignment over the objections of the reorganization realignment committee, which had spent months deliberating and whose work President Rocha had previously authorized to assess, restructure, and realign instructional division.
Okay, Matt?
Do we have a representative of the reorganization realignment committees here?
Yeah. Dan, me, Deb,
Okay, and you have
Rod.
documentation of your objections?
Oh, yeah, it's at the town hall meeting, and we pretty much, I'll take it back. All the departments said, no, we want to keep our academic deans.
Okay, so our base, I'm just making sure the bases are completely covered.
Yep.
So they are, okay. Thank you.
Okay, next bullet, imposing class size increases, MCNs, in fall 2010 and spring 2013, disregarding the past practices, fall 2012 respectively, and the year-long process.
I mean, in particular?
Imposing class size increases in fall 2010 and spring 2013, disregarding the past practices. I'm wondering if I should take this out.
Yeah, I think that's.
You don't know where it came from.
And the year-long process of the curriculum and instruction committee developing pedagogically appropriate class size limits for the school as well as the recommendations of the VP of Education Services.
Same question as the last one, you have documentation of that? That's pretty particular to do with popular.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was there. I
Yolanda?
just have a suggestion from Penella's first statement that maybe we could put that first bullet point at the bottom.
No.
No, I don't agree. Any changes to this bullet? That's true and accurate then?
Yes. The only thing I might add is we seem to be giving pretty clear dates on everything else, but not on the bullet point number 2. So I would say if we have time to go back and get those specific dates down, I think that if we're going to give clarity of argument everywhere else, perhaps that would be the
I
place
don't
to.
really think we need it, because it's really, it's on videotape.
When?
And those videotapes should be on the transparency.
So then we can take them off everywhere.
Hmm?
So so that we can take dates off on the other 2 points too.
No, yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Like-
see what you're saying, but point two, it was really muddled, and a lot of it happened behind the scenes. It was slipped in after that August meeting, August Board of Trustees
Right, but I think
meeting.
if you're trying to get, that's exactly what I'm saying, is that why wouldn't we just add in those dates that are relevant for clarity of our process?
Because we're not sure exactly when it happened.
But we do know it did happen.
It did happen, yes.
Okay, so this document is still accurate with or without dates?
Yes.
Right.
All right.
Sorry, Matt.
On that point, I think the first bullet point, there were events that occurred that we can pinpoint, for which we can pinpoint the dates.
Yes.
The other couple of bullet points, maybe not so much because they were kind of in process, things that ended up happening. When I first read the document that was sent out to us, some of my feedback to Melissa was, in the bullet, what we see as the first bullet point here, when did this happen, when did this happen, when did this happen? It didn't strike me in the rest of it, just because it seemed to me more like an evolutionary process.
Okay, so the last whereas the Pasadena City College Board of Trustees, in keeping with the credit, I think we read this before, in keeping with Crediting Commission for Community and Junior Colleges accreditation standards, delegates full responsibility and authority to the Chief Administrator to implement and administer board-approved policies without board interference and holds him or her accountable for the operations of the district according to the standards. And therefore be it resolved that the Academic Senate of Pasadena City College has no confidence in President Mark Rocha to maintain a healthy shared governance system, implement major changes responsibly, or provide effective leadership to the campus community. And then we have the votes, how we could vote, ayes, nays, noes, abstentions, and absent, and then President Canby's signature. That I certify that the foregoing is a true and correct copy of the resolution passed on today's date.
Does that have to be by roll call, or can that be by ballot?
Penella researched this. What was it you found about this?
We're supposed to be able to track everything by votes, like we should be able to go by roll call. I don't know that we necessarily need to, I don't think we need to do that, but is that true, Mark? I'm gonna double check.
I'm not a problem with it, but if it makes people comfortable.
The problem is it cannot be a secret vote. Okay, everything has to be published because it's a public meeting. I don't see any reason to have a roll call. I think that if we went ayes and nays and recorded it like we do a normal, regular vote, there's no reason to say, how do you vote?
That's what
Yeah, I don't think we necessarily need to do that. Now, you can call division if the vote sounds like it's
So I'd like to
close.
make this change right here. What should I do? I just remove by roll call. I'll just say Academic Senate votes, colon.
Okay.
Because that will be in the minutes too. Like Judy's recording it right now. Yes, Mark.
My question is it seems like this last, therefore be it resolved, I think there needs to be something in there, and I just realized this, else I would have told you before, about the communication between us that goes through him to the board of trustees. Like there's a major communication issue where he basically communicates what he wants, but he doesn't really care. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's just, there's
Could you
no.
please specify the wording?
I think I can help with that.
Yeah, maybe he can, he's not. Any English people help me out?
Implement major changes responsibly, provide effective leadership to the campus community, and accurately represent to the board.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Okay,
that's good.
And then someone else in English is going to have to finish that sentence.
My brain's turned off, so I'm sorry. I'm not going to help you.
Get rid of the or.
Yeah.
And
Or
then
even put
the
it.
community, you're gonna put comma and an or.
You don't need the and.
You don't need the and.
Provide
Okay, so we want some parallel structure, you're all vertical. Maintain, implement, provide. And report accurately.
Putting an or there instead of
Communicate.
and indicates that we can't.
Okay, please, one person.
And communicate accurately.
Accurately communicate to
Well,
the board. Or communicate.
Communicate accurately,
Communicate
because
accurately,
it's
just
for
provide
parallel
that
structure, so,
Well, what about,
To
shouldn't
the
that,
board what?
the will of the Senate or something like that?
to the board, the
The
will
will
of the Senate.
of the Academic Senate.
We're the campus community.
Different constituencies in the campus community.
And the campus community.
Yes.
Because it could be any of the committees that
To
we use,
academic
you know.
community, it's about the input.
Okay,
Perfect.
okay, are we good with this?
Input
Instant.
of the different constituencies of the campus community.
And the input of the,
Different constituencies of the campus community.
various.
Come on.
No, it's getting worse.
Matt, please go ahead.
Okay, if you line up right before the word communicate, instead of an and or, I'm in SLO mode. And if we put an or there, we're essentially saying he can't do any of these things. Not just, here's a package that he can't fulfill completely. If we put an or, we're saying he cannot, we don't believe he's gonna implement major changes correct. We don't believe he's gonna represent us accurately. We don't believe he can fulfill shared governance.
You just can't, you're right, put it, yeah, that's very good.
So,
Or.
and or,
make it strong.
and or communicate accurately to the board the will of the academic senate and the input of the campus community.
And with a B, and or with a B.
Okay.
And Melissa, if you wanna make it a little softer, I don't know. If you wanna, instead of the will of the Senate, maybe the recommendation of the Senate.
How does everybody feel?
That's recommendations.
That's in fact what we do.
The will is what happens in our head.
Okay, all right, so we have academic senate vote, ayes, nays. So we have effectively, we have gone through this document. Shall we feel that this document does what we want it to do? Now, but we do
Mark?
have public, there's public comment, right?
I already got them all. I got them all. Mark?
So I still feel like my question has not been answered as to, is this coming just from the members of the academic senate, or are you asking us to represent anybody other than that?
Well,
The
we need to
representatives
vote
of
on
the
this
department that
document.
sent us here.
Okay, so again, there's confusion, because that's not how I see this. The way you see it, Francis, is not how I see it.
No, well, the way we should see it, should we see it as people who brought ourselves here, or as representatives of the faculty that sent us here? Who are the owners of this academic senate institution?
That is my question.
At least you agree on that.
I'd like to first vote on this as, that we agree that these are the words that we are comfortable with.
Oh, so you're moving to say that the text is okay?
That the text is
I
ready to
second
go.
that.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I second the motion and the text is ready to go.
Okay.
I also would like to make a comment in return.
Okay, so the question on the floor is that do we approve the language of this motion as it's currently constituted? Any discussion of that? Seeing none, the question is called. All in favor of approving the language of this resolution signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so now this is the motion. It can't be amended any longer unless there's a friendly amendment further. So now the question is, what do we want to do with this motion? So is there any motion along those lines? Matt, please.
No. It's a formatting issue. The vertical lines on the side and
As I said, the
so
vertical.
you get cleaned up and perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Martha, please.
Well, I just wanted to respond before and I would be glad to vote right now, but just to respond to Mark, that, I was giving this some thought, and it seems to me that you can't help but wear two hats when you're here. You need to represent your division, you absolutely need to. But you also need to do what's right for this body. In other words, we're charged with I'm gonna say what I said to you. Part of what I did was, when I was not a senator, but the alternate quietly sitting in the peanut gallery, I basically wrote to my senators and I said, look, I had to vote for a no confidence because I didn't see anybody in the Senate taking action that was needed to be taken. And I can see very clearly the writing on the wall and what this is going to mean to our accreditation if we don't stop the bleed now. I mean, I think your point is well taken, you know, in other words, that we need to really respect the fact that we do the least amount of damage. But the fact of the matter is that there's been a great deal of damage. I mean, a great deal of damage done to this campus. So much so I'm worried about our accreditation. So this is my way of saying when I was, you know, not a member of this body, this needs to stop. This dive off a cliff needs to stop. So I know for a fact that I, as a faculty member, wanted my senators to have my back and to have my voice and to protect this campus from further damage. So I am here wearing two hats. You know, basically I'm having to wear the hat of a senator of this body, but at the same time, I'm having to represent the people in my division who feel similarly in large proportion. So
May I say it's not two hats, integrated hats?
Yolanda?
I guess I would say that yes, but I also think that at a certain point, as faculty senators, our division doesn't come and sit here every 2 weeks and read the paperwork over the weekends. And so I know that people in my division depend on me in some instances to make those decisions as the senator, because they rely on me to stay informed when they don't have to stay informed. So I think it kind of works both ways.
Rod.
I'm just going to go out on a limb and guess that this body's bylaws do not require every senator to take every issue back to his or her division to be voted on before we can, before we have the authority to speak on behalf of our division. But if the parliamentarian, if there were a concrete answer to the question, it would come from the bylaws.
Marjorie?
I'm looking at the minutes on page 10, and it says parliamentarian clarification. Voting on this matter would be on behalf of just the Senate itself. And where it says discussion and comments, a Senate vote by the representative should not require the need for division input, and the body should decide to take a vote. I said taking a vote would be a stand that the Senate wants to take. So we had this discussion last time. It's in the minutes, and I thought we decided this and clarified it last time. It's here on the minutes, page 10.
Eduardo?
Call the question.
Oh, you need a second?
Second.
Who seconded?
Pat.
Pat? Okay. Question is called. Basically, I have to take before I can call on you, I need to see if the body wants to agree with the call to question. All in favor of calling the question signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The question's called, okay? So that means the discussion is over. So at this point, I'm going to basically say that the motion, as Melissa just showed it on the screen, is the motion that we are voting on. You want to pull it up there so everybody can take another look at it, please? Make sure everybody's clear about what they're voting on.
Voting on the document, we're voting on especially the therefore result.
All we're really voting on is the therefore, really. Yeah, that's the key.
I just wanted to point out something. It looks like the judge recognized our role here. In representation, I think we have three things. One is trusteeship. They trust us to be here. The other one is instructive. Whenever it's necessary. And we still wear the integrated hat of being part of the group and also being representatives of the group. And then offering what they want, standing in for and on behalf of that group.
Okay, so since the question is called, because the asked me to really clearly identify how many yeses and nos, so I'm going to do this at first just by hands, and if it seems like it's sort of split, I might call roll, but it doesn't look like I'm going to need to. So if you just raise your hands really high, I'm going to actually ask Nell and Dan to check my numbers to make sure we get them all correctly. And it asks for yeas, nos, abstentions, and absence, so I'll do all that math too. So all in favor of approving the motion that's on the screen, signify by raising your hand. Any noes? Any abstentions? One abstention. Okay, and math, there are 9 absent. Okay, so I have 23 yes, 0 no, 1 abstention, and 9 absent. Yes?
I'd like to challenge the abstentions or just to ask for there to be.
They don't have to,
Let's
move
on.
They don't have to explain the
want,
abstention.
I would just like for the absences to reflect the true, only the members that are, because I think we've been counting, somebody, I thought you called Lochnaw again, and Melissa's taking Lochnaw's place, so he's not an absence. He's
Technically, she's
here,
still listed as an
technically.
alternate.
Yeah,
but
right.
There's 33 people on the body, so I kind of put
Alternate
substitution.
is absence. Is all I think that.
That's true. You have to reevaluate.
I think that we have to be honest about the numbers, and part of that honesty is in the how many people are really absent. If we have Lochnaw is not absent, if Melissa's taking his place.
True.
And the same
That's
for
all I'm
Robert,
saying.
because Mark is here. For
And
Robert
the same for Derek, since I'm here. So
Right.
that just dropped 3.
There are 3 fewer absent.
Well, there's 33 total senators, and so that would mean that if there are 24 voters, that were 9 that did vote. That's that basic math.
That was
That's
one
There's 33
abstention.
people.
One
including-
abstention.
24, no,
And
that's
one
not counting
abstention. Yeah, I include the
24, so
So I have
that,
So is it
right,
8 that
if
didn't
that's
vote,
already,
or,
there
and 1
are.
abstention?
What are the numbers?
23 yes, 0 no, 1 abstention, 9 absent.
So the 33, does that, I'm sorry.
Include
So
alternate?
Joe had.
No, it doesn't include alternates.
Joe had her hand up first.
I'm just asking for a clarification. Deborah Bird started here, she's not here. And I'd like to know what the switch is or what's happened. Okay, so I mean, so I just think that we need to acknowledge that there's been a change.
For the
Because it looks
record.
like she's here, but she's not here for the vote.
But the vote.
But we're not doing a roll call.
They're not, it's
We
not
need to do a
roll
roll
call
call.
vote.
So it's just that this division needs to be
Okay,
recognized.
I'm not saying that we have to highlight it, it's just that she's signed in and then she's absent and Jason steps in, and it's just kind of confusing.
Where Jason should sign the roster.
Yeah, just make sure it's
I
signed
have
off.
one more motion to how you do with this. So,
Go ahead and make a motion.
I move to have President Hamdi take this voted on document to the Board of Trustees on Wednesday and read the document in full, along with the total votes as Senate President during his Senate report.
On
If,
Wednesday? There's no meeting this Wednesday.
The next Board of Trustees.
It'll be May 1st.
Meeting, okay.
Because I can't make tomorrow night, so tomorrow night's their joint meeting. I don't even have a report
There's a
tomorrow.
meeting on the 16th then, yeah, tomorrow.
It's not that, you don't.
I don't have a
report
report
that
tomorrow
meeting.
night.
Oh, okay.
That's the next agendized meeting that we're on.
May 1st. You don't even have to make a motion, it will be done.
Oh, it's done.
I will do it in my report, I will read this word for word.
Excuse me, can I?
Let the record show, I will read this word.
So that being said, we're also at the 55-minute mark on this. So if that's our last motion, perhaps we can move forward with our agenda.
Okay. Okay, we have a pleasant thing to do at number 2 here. You have a list of the change of rank approval from Patty Lynn, who could not be here, she's in Georgia right now. So I would ask if there would be a motion to approve the change of rank. Thank you, Mark. Second? Mark and Mark. Any discussion of the rank approval?
Where, no, we didn't.
Well, if I do. Thanks, packets.
So it looks like this, folks. It was in the packet.
I didn't get a packet.
to reply. It's this one right here. Dorothy, you're on it.
Okay, everybody, I just got a note from our previous parliamentarian. I think do you want to speak to your concern here?
Oh, yeah,
I'm saying you can't vote for yourself, so if you're on the list, you can't vote. Is that what he's saying?
Oh.
Okay, any discussion of this item? If I can call to order, please, so we can get through this. Usually a few more really general items. Okay, so he does recommend if your name's on the list that you abstain. Okay, so all in favor of approving this? Actually, I don't have a motion. Anybody approving the rank? Oh, there was a motion? Oh, I'm sorry, there was a motion. Forgive me. All in favor of approving the change of rank, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, that is done. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay, Carrie is not here, so I will represent that. The last meeting we introduced to you that we were going to approve the CNI approved NCNs. So that has been all provided to you. Does anybody have a motion to approve that? Okay, Paul, second. Martha, any discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving the CNI NCN, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Oh.
There was a discussion question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, not really, but the thing is, I mean, this is lovely, but what good does it do?
It just shows that we approve them.
All right.
All in favor,
Still
signify by
mad.
saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that approved. Can I have you take up the calendar charge?
All right, so the next thing we got up is our Academic Senate Calendar Committee. So again, this is not a shared governance committee. This is the committee that falls directly underneath the Academic Senate. The charge is, this Senate committee will make recommendations to the Academic Senate about the academic calendar. These recommendations will be based on evidence and discussion regarding regarding student success and learning, professional development, and organizational development. This is our second read, so if we can approve to move this as a charge for this committee, we can get this committee started as soon as possible.
Any motion along those effects?
So discussion first, I think.
Discussion first.
Question. I don't know what organizational development means in this context. Could you clarify for me?
So we'll cover that again. So we talked about this quickly last time, but perhaps you weren't here. That is not totally passive aggressive, I apologize. But organizational development is being able to have the time to do the things to make our departments, divisions, and even committee work successful. So the example being, we looked at adding those professional development days in at the beginning and the end of the last calendar. And so one of the things we're moving towards is learning how to do assessment, right? While that's pedagogical, that's also something that is kind of like an organizational practice. How are we doing in our skills? So we might want to be able to have days where we say, hey, this is like an organizational development day to focus on things like assessment, program review, committee work, etc.
It's distinct from professional development.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Any other further clarifications? Yes, Pat.
You know, it seems to me that, maybe Dorothy can speak to this better than I can, but it seems to me when we had our former Academic Senate Calendar Committee, that committee did its work, but then also the recommendations, didn't they filter into the campus-wide calendar committee before?
Yes.
I thought that was the flow, and I don't see any mention of the work that our Academic Senate Committee is going to do going anywhere. I mean, coming to us, yes, but it should somehow impact the larger.
Pass the recommendations on to
College
the
council.
So
You
you
that-
no,
so-
no, to
We'll go to the
it can go both ways. It can go to college council but also the campus-wide.
Right, so traditionally what would happen is, to answer that in twofold, Pat, is once we make a recommendation through this body, it goes to two places after that. One is it's directly done with CAPM, so we go directly to the president administration, and then the second is through college council. So we would report out to both of those directions through normal means. However, if you would like to say that it also reports out to the shared governance calendar committee, that's an additional change that we can then make, and I'm happy to make that a friendly
That's an important
amendment.
I think that's an important thing, because that's what in the past, that was the catching block in the past,
Mhm.
so that there wasn't a coordinated effort.
Mhm.
If you change that language there, then it becomes a more coordinated effort. And I think it would be a good idea.
So the two procedural questions then I have, if I'm willing to make the process recommendation, but I think it's important for us to clarify what order that would go in. Does that make sense? So might the sentence read that this committee will make recommendations to the academic senate about the academic calendar and then to the shared governance calendar committee.
Yes.
Does that make sense? So it would come to us first.
Yes.
We would approve it based on these specific things: success in learning, professional learning, organizational development, and then those people would go, and we could do it either as the executive committee or the specific committee could go and represent to the calendar committee. So I saw Martha and then Melissa.
One other question is on, and I apologize for not having been here. In fact, I'm going to have to escape soon because I've got
We
class.
all are.
I know. But evidence. What do you mean specifically by evidence? Do you mean IPRO evidence or?
I would say evidence in all forms. I think one, we would look at things like program review, assessment. I think we would look at other outstanding evidence in general, so research-based choices. So I think we would look from a variety of things, including IPRO.
In addition to any kind of commentary from students, faculty, etc.
Well, I would say from our portion would be based on things that come out of like a pedagogical format. And I would say in terms of that student moment of discussion, that would come out of the shared governance committee. Does that make sense? Like this should be really about us as a faculty making a uniform and informed voice. And then we can report out to the shared governance body. So Melissa and then Kathleen.
The organizational development, when you explain it, that makes sense, but if I'd like to see it in writing for people that are not here and that in the future, future years to come, if this charge still exists, that they don't have the same question that I still do, that I do, just looking at the words.
Mm-hmm. Kathleen.
I'm not so good at wordsmithing, but I really like to see that pedagogical word in there somehow. I mean, you've said it a few times, but it's not part of the charge.
Mm-hmm. How about evidence, pedagogy, and discussion? Does that sound good? I'm going to look to my English trio.
How about pedagogical evidence?
There you go.
Pedagogical evidence would be best.
I only deal with the spoken word, so it's flexible.
Okay, so there's been a series of friendly amendments. I think that Penella's accepted as friendly amendments.
I'm happy to accept them, but I know that there are people who believe that we need to have clean copies for everything that we move forward to. Although if we do that, that means that the charge of this committee would be held off until fall.
September. Yes, Eduardo.
So far everything is good. So in regards to what Melissa says, the organization development, can we insert something now? Or is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Some sort of explanation to what that is.
Okay, so we've got pedagogical evidence. We can do.
He's talking about how it goes out, where it goes.
So how about this? I add an IE committee work.
Yes.
Does that program review, etc.
Assessment, etc.
Is IE or doing EG?
That'd be an EG.
It's EG, right?
For example.
Thank you. I will leave it to you again. I don't really care.
I actually don't mind the organizational thing because it actually has something to do with like study abroad. Because one of the things that got horribly affected by this maneuvering of the calendar is some of our study abroad programs.
Right. Well, we might also, so traditionally when we talk about organizational development, this may also be a day where we do something like, for example, when we were first developing the EMP and we had kind of that EMP assessment, remember we had those big community events that people would go to? That might be something that as we head into long-term planning, we add those kinds of things in. That's an organizational development, right? Like how we develop our mission statement and our master plan, that's organizational development.
Sure. That could also fall under professional development. So
professional development is usually about, I'm sorry to speak over you, Martha, that's my attention. But professional development is usually regarding the skills that you need to do your job better. So things like learning technology, learning new pedagogies, that's professional. Right, that's professional development. This is about how we go forward as an organization. Does that make sense?
Why don't you read it as been amended?
Oh, Lord. Okay, so this Senate committee will make recommendations to the Academic Senate, about the academic calendar, and then report to the Shared Governance Committee. These recommendations will be based on pedagogical evidence and discussion regarding student success and learning, professional development, and organizational development, e.g. committee work, program review, etc.
So that's the revision. Any motion to approve that revision? Matt first.
Second.
Early second. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. All in favor of this revised charge for the calendar committee signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it's approved. Thank you to Penella for doing all the work on that. Thank you. Okay, next is the executive committee recommendation number 1. You should have a list, the summer faculty hiring pool. Okay, I have, by the way, I tell people higher numbers, and what I realized is when I sent out 2 different emails, and some people responded to both. So that's why some people got counted double. So it was 32 people that I had. I am going to take nominations from the floor right now if anybody wants to add their name to the list. And what the Senate approved a few meetings ago was, what the Senate President, for me for the next month, and then Eduardo would do is during the summer, would contact the people on this list to get on summer hiring pools. So anybody who wants to add their name to the list at this point, just go ahead and raise your name, hand your hand, put your name in, and I will add your name to the list. Penella? Sure.
Go for it.
Okay, because earlier Bob Bell mentioned that they're going to be hiring deans and that they were going to have, for this realignment, that they would try to have that done September or something. So that means that those hiring committees are going to happen over the next 4 months.
No.
We're talking about Jessica. Jessica's not here, so we can't do a proxy.
They said they would start the hiring process by September. My understanding is, and let me, this is what, is that they're gonna start flying the positions over the summer with the idea that the hiring committees would start back for those dean positions once the term started.
Okay. Is there going to be a consultation process with the Senate or faculty about the job description for the deans?
I believe, again, that the deans have been doing this through their retreat process. And so the deans should have that information up. And likewise, I would say, based on at least what you guys heard, what Dr. Bell said, so I'm not giving you anything new, is that hopefully by the fall, we'll be able to have that clarification. Again, with his goal being that organizational chart will be out sometime in the next month for us to be able to see what that looks like.
So this pool will not include those hirings?
As far as we know,
any executive level was going to be called with an emergency meeting.
So, yeah. So what we had said through that, remember when we were hiring this pool, we said anything that would be a major, administrative level position above, we would call an emergency meeting over the summer.
Of the Senate.
Of the Senate,
Okay,
to
and
approve.
then names to be added at that point?
At that time, yes.
Yeah. But again, likewise, we've not heard any reason to believe that they're gonna be hiring for these positions over
I'm
the
just
summer.
afraid that what happened last break is going to happen.
No, totally.
Because we will be gone for 4 months.
Yeah.
And a lot of emergencies.
The only one that we've heard of as being an immediate sort of thing is the because of retirements in social sciences, that dean is going to be hired. That was the only one I think that happened that came up during Kaplan. That one for sure is going to be done. But beyond that, they said there was nothing else. Dan, do you want to talk about that?
We asked about numbers, and I asked if there's going to be 5 to 10, and Bob Miller said there won't be 5 to 10.
It's going to be more than 10 or less than 5?
So, it's Kathleen, Martha, and Melissa.
Kathleen?
Well, my understanding, and I know none of it's been carefully planned, just like anything else around here, my understanding is that the Uber deans are going to be positions that are flown, but the next level down deans are going to be chosen by the administration. And it seems to me that violates our hiring process. And yet that's what I've heard, that the next level down are going to be chosen, not through a hiring process.
I can't comment because I haven't heard that. So.
To be honest with you, that is not something that has at all been discussed through CAPM. So that could just be fear. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're just totally fair. We're just totally fair moment without lack of information that we're filling in.
I just wanted to make sure that faculty members who whose names are on the hiring pool listing actually get chosen to represent their faculty, the faculty in the division when a hire is concerning that faculty or
It's
director
in the
position.
policy, Martha.
I know, but apparently some confusion came up in nursing.
We'll get to that in a moment.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that that is really abided by, and that when a division asks for recommendations, that we make every possible effort to recommend the faculty within that division or within
I don't
that
see
area.
reason why people would do that.
You know?
Yeah.
But I just want to reiterate.
Okay. Any further discussion? Anybody want to put their names in the pool? This is really key. Okay. So Rachel, I'll acknowledge that I got your name. Okay, so Rod. And I'll make this all in alphabetical to make it easier once I get it all done. Lauren.
No, put me at the end.
Eduardo. So that was Jason? Is it Jason? What's your last name? Norris, I'm sorry.
As in she.
As in Chuck Norris.
Naturally.
Okay, anybody else who wants to put their name into the pool? Marjorie?
Okay. Go for it.
My name is number 20 on the list. I'm in ESL. There's someone else under me that's also on the list. She's also in ESL. How did they get on the list like this and also?
It's alphabetical.
Oh.
Alphabetical by last name.
And so then when you say an ESL hiring happens, you look for ESL or you just don't know?
I'm paraphrasing the policy that Jessica wrote, but it basically says that first priority will go to people from the area that are going to be impacted by the hire. And that just makes sense.
And then, so if two of us are from ESL, how do will we vote?
If basically the executive committee would then follow the directions and say, since the two people from ESL applied, they will get first approval.
But this is all gonna be done by Eduardo anyway.
This will be done by, us for another month. Sorry?
Dustin
Right,
can
so
say
we'll split it, so it'll be split. Depending on what
It's going to be very painstaking. Time consuming.
Which of us will be?
It will be up to the executive committee to decide.
I see.
Yes.
I thought that the hire, are you concerned about a faculty member? Is that what you're saying with those two people on the ESL?
No, I'm just curious, since this is my first time to be on the hiring committee, I want to make sure that I will be here, and my colleague is also on the list, so I don't know if I should contact her at all and say, I don't know. I just.
Well, what happens is, let's say, I'll give you an example, let's say 2 weeks from now, I'm sorry, 4 weeks from now in the summer, we get a request for some kind of hire.
Right.
What, the first thing that I would do is I would send an email and have Judy create a list of all of these names on it. So this one takes a list of this. Then I would send the email to this list saying, here's the potential members that we need to pick. Let's say 6 people will get back to us if they want to be on the committee. Then the executive committee, using the policy that we've approved, would then approve people based on that policy. So for example, if people from that area that are being affected had approved, they would get approved first. And then we just go from there as the policy goes down. And then eventually it'll just become down to the executive committee making a decision. If it was like, got to the last list and it was still, it wasn't full, then they would just fill it based on their judgment. Ours for another one, and then the new executive committee going forward from there.
Remember the stuff that we're talking about is like the painter.
The painter.
You know what I mean? Like what the committees that we're hiring are not like faculty committees. They're not upper level. This is really like, no. This is when the emergency, like, suddenly you have to hire a clerical position and it's all underclassified, right? Like, this is not for those positions.
And again, the policy says if there's a high level executive, then you would reconvene the session.
So it's Dorothy and Lauren?
Dorothy.
So when this is called the summer committee, but is it also technically the extended spring committee?
Yes, thank you for the clarification.
Oh, what's in it?
Lauren?
I think you answered this, just a point of clarification. So those of us that have currently been appointed to committees that will start in spring, but continue into whatever this extended thing, you don't need our names, right?
No.
That's something.
If you're on a hiring committee right now,
Right.
you're on that committee, you're moving forward.
You don't care.
This is only if, again, God forbid, a facilities person has to quit. This is our.
I just wanted to make
chance
sure
to
that
fill in that.
both of you are aware that there are many of us that are currently on committees that in the past, we sort of finished those committees by the end of spring. But that is no longer possible because where we are in the calendar.
Yeah, no, this is just for, because once you're on a committee, you can't, as you know, that HR policy is, once you're on it, you're kind of on it because of all the confidential issues. Right, so that that's not what we're doing, we're just doing for any new hires once summer gets started.
Any further discussion? Anybody else want to put their name in final call? Okay, so we have a list of 40. We are approving these people for potential summer hiring committees. A motion to approve the summer hiring pool. Matt, Pat, okay. All in favor of approving the summer hiring pool, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you to Jessica for getting that done. Okay, I'm going to ask Judy for in a bit to sort of explain a little bit about the second item here. Just a little bit so you should know is we, through the diligence of Judy and the executive committee, we've actually saved money on the food for this time around. We're going to be using an external caterer. I think you should all be very thankful for that. Thank you to Judy for arranging that. I looked for a list of food, and if you don't like it, you can blame me, not Judy. I think it's a pretty good list of food. And so this $4,000, by the way, is actually sort of estimating a little bit high, but it probably won't be that much that we'll have to pay for the summer incentive breakfast. But it's about in line with what we've approved in the past to cover this event. There will be a charge of, I think, $20 per ticket. Is that $20 per ticket if you'd like to attend. So what we're asking you, do you want to talk any further about incentive breakfast before we talk about this item?
We received a draft flyer today, and hopefully it should go out in a couple of days. The cost will be $20. Tickets will be on sale at Student Bank. And that's it.
Okay. And again, thank you to Judy for all her work on this.
Wasn't the food?
Okay, what's the vendor? The vendor is Burger Continental. And the food.
We're getting croissants and fruit, eggs and bacon.
There's huevos and some really solid food on that list. Yes. That we don't know. We just have two so far.
But to clarify, we're moving this breakfast from being just about retirees to also celebrating the folks who are getting tenure this year. So especially if you have folks who are getting tenured in your department or division, this is actually the first time ever, as far as I know, that we've actually celebrated folks who've gotten tenure. So that's kind of a big, wonderful welcome, and I would encourage you guys to come and participate, just so we get in the habit of saying thank you and congratulations to folks.
Within this, are we including those people that are retiring also? I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
It always
we only have 2 folks who are getting retired, and I think we have 7 folks who are getting tenure.
And also the awards will be given out at this too, the Ralph Story Award and the RZA Award, they'll be given out at this breakfast as well. I'm asking for you to approve $4,000 to cover the expenses of the breakfast. Do I have a motion along those lines? Okay, Mark, Joe, okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving the $4,000, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, I told Michelle Iron-Gallman that I would take the lead on the next item. We separated it just so you can see it as a separate item. She called me about 2 or 3 weeks ago at home and asked that I approve $300 for her to make a video, $300 for her and her committee to make a video honoring all the previous Ralph Story Awards that are still living. They did hunt most of them down, and they will be all in the video. I think Judy's been involved in making the video. It hasn't been officially given. The $300 has not been officially given to her. So I'm asking for your indulgence that we could approve this $300 so she can make this video. Do I have a motion along those lines?
So moved.
Second. Joe, second. Danny, second. I'm sorry, Joe first, Danny, second. Any discussion? Okay, I think it's going to be a great video. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, let me just sort of move to number 4. I know that, Kristen, you want to talk about this. You have to be really sort of patient with me. I know it's sort of late here. Each of these 6 individuals gave me a statement, and so I'm going to be reading you their statements before we actually take a vote. So the last item really for us to bring forward is a ballot of the people who will be on the hiring committee for the nursing program director. So I'm going to turn the floor over to Kristen, who just want to let us know a little bit about what your division had to do this before we take a vote and before I read the statements. So please go ahead.
Okay, well, from what I understand from senior faculty is that
historically, the faculty, nursing faculty or health science faculty have voted on who they want to represent them on the hiring committee for director, and then we forward it to the academic senate. We voted on this a few months ago, and we voted for Deborah Ford, Donna Nielsen, and also Carla Christensen, who's since withdrawn her name because she has a lot of responsibilities. So I would like to put my name as academic senator and representative of health science in there. And so these were the people we were originally recommended, and it was brought up to the academic senate originally without their names on it.
Okay.
So,
That was the request I got from your dean.
yes.
Okay. So before we take a vote, let me just go ahead and read.
Yeah. It was Deborah Hellman Ford, Donna Nielsen, and then I'm throwing my name in there because Carla Christensen has removed her name because she's got a lot of responsibilities.
Okay, before we take a vote, let me just read the statements from each individual. Be patient with me because I have to sort of go back and forth here on my email, and it's a little slow. So I'm going to just read the statements for each one. Let me pass out the ballots first don't vote until I read the statements from each of the 6, to be fair to each of them. Hearing what Kristen has already informed you of, they'll keep that in mind. Okay, let me get the ballots all out there. Does anybody not have a ballot yet, or is it still on us? Sure. I think almost all of them are from health sciences, but I'll let you know. If I know. Sometimes I won't know. Okay. So first I'm going to read the statement from Barbara Kissel, who's the program director at the Community Education Center in Health Sciences. This may be of interest to me since I am in health sciences and working together with the nursing program director would give us an opportunity to collaborate together. So that was statement 1. Be patient, it's a little slow. Second statement was from Julie. Nursing is not my area, but I would be happy to serve. Justification, I feel it is important to support one another when we need hiring committee members. I will diligently review all files and have a flexible schedule that will allow me to serve. Finally, I feel that Dr. Freund is fair and balanced and would be pleased to serve with her. Okay, the next statement was Deborah. This is to inform you that I would very much be interested in serving on the hiring committee for the nursing program director position. I am a full-time tenure-track nursing faculty currently teaching on our last semester and have also served in the past as one of our assistant directors for 2 years, being in charge of clinical placements and remediation for returning nursing students. And then her email got cut off.
Good enough.
All right. Okay, Mary Lynn Aguirre. I would like to serve on the hiring committee for nursing program director. I have worked with many program directors during my 20 years in the PCC registering nursing program. I believe I can constructively evaluate candidates and contribute to the selection process. My focus is maintaining the excellent quality of nursing education here at PCC, including student success and supporting the development of happy and satisfied students and faculty. And then Kristen, since you're here, would you like to make your own statement?
Oh. Well, I'd like to serve as, for the health, since I represent the health science division as an academic senator, I would like to serve. And also I've sat in on many interviews and have worked with several deans, so I think that I can be objective in my decision.
Okay, and then last is Donna Nielsen. I am strongly interested in being on the hiring committee regarding the selection of the health sciences DON position. I am passionate about being involved in the process of selecting the best possible candidate for this important position. So there's all your 6 statements. Please vote for only up to 3. You can vote for less than 3. Please turn in your ballots up to here in front. We'll take a very short 5-minute recess to take that vote, and then we just have a couple more items and we're out of here. So turn your ballots into Dan. Yes.